This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, it's our last batch of movies from the best year in movies ever, 1999, as we discussed Election, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Go, and Eyes Wide Shut.
Geek Boner.
Plus, San Diego Comic-Con at Home virtual event is happening this week. A new trailer for the never going to be released new Mutants movie is out, and movie theaters could remain closed until the middle of next year.
Lame.
What?
All that and more in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Thursday, July 16th, 2020.
Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and you're listening to the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Why? I don't know.
Check. Check one. All right. This is really fans out there. Let's give it up! We're talking, we nerded. We're funny, disturbing. We're talking, we nerded. We're spoiler alert. Oh yeah! We're talking, we nerded. We're funny, disturbing. Oh yeah! I'm talking, we nerded. We're spoiler alert. Give it up one time.
Hey, listener, what's up? Thanks for joining us, and welcome to the Jock and Nerd Podcast, giving you comic book and superhero TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose.
Jock and Nerd.
My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
And joining us, the puppet that's always invited to all the high-class felty sex parties.
Yeah.
You know he is. It's Rug Boy. Rug Boy's a baller.
I might be committing suicide later tonight.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
With the Epstein shit comes out.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
no.
shit.
You were involved with that, too? That's some...
No, I'm not involved with that. But
Okay.
I was going along with your joke, but that's basically what they're talking about here.
That's some Eyes Wide Shut shit right there.
Yeah.
I ain't think about that.
Ghislaine, her name?
Oh, yeah. You think
Is that how
that's...
you say it?
Is that, no, I don't think so.
Or is that just like a directive? Like, I don't know.
Jizz in this lane.
That was a road on the island.
Please, yes. Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, the felty sex parties, I got to imagine, are a little more fun than human sex.
Well, you know,
More flexible.
everybody knows that Miss Piggy,
Yeah, she's running it.
she likes to squeal a lot.
She is the madam.
And Kermit's a big cuck.
Of course he is.
What else can I say? Animal gets laid a lot.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. It all tracks. Very good. You guys, the world and life still crazy.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
But we find ourselves living in a world where we have an opportunity to emulate our favorite superhero comic book characters and do some good. You can literally right now, like Spider-Man, wear a mask, save the world.
Jock and Nerd.
Am I right? Isn't that essentially what we're doing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
One way to look at it.
All right, this is all to say we have masks for sale. Visit our T Public merch shop at jockandnerd.com/shop. We have lots of awesome masks. You're going to need a bunch of them. So, you know, like you got your Spider-Man, but like then you got like Batman's and the Steve Rogers, the Captain America's kind of doing it backwards. You don't want that kind of
They're
mask.
wearing their mask backwards?
Yeah,
that seems irrational.
Yeah, right? It's their mask is not really going to help right now.
Well, not a lot of superheroes cover their mouths.
No, they don't. But have you noticed the supervillains may be a better role model in this case? You got your Banes, you got your Shredders from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right. You got Scorpion, you got
Scorpion.
Sub-Zero.
All the bad guys are smart because they're about to gas everyone, and they cover their mouth when they sneeze and cough. So be like the bad guys. Order a Jock and Nerd mask. You can have Rug Boy right on your mouth.
Oh.
You know.
And it won't cost you anything extra.
Well, nothing extra comes with a mask. Visit our shop. Link in the show notes, jockandnerd.com/shop. All right, I got a little bit of geek news I want to talk about. Let's get to it.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
We're going to dive back into 1999 one last time. Listener, it's been quite an adventure reliving 1999. But I wanted to remind you guys and the listener, this week is the week San Diego Comic-Con's at-home virtual event takes place.
Geek Boner.
It's very exciting. For the first time, 50 years, everyone's invited to Comic-Con. It's a party.
It'll be the first time I'm at SDCC.
Yes, it'll be the first time we can all attend SDCC. It will
Anthony's
take place.
been there. I've never been there.
I have.
Well, Anthony, the July 22nd from 26, it will all take place online. There are expected to be over 350 panels, and all this is going to happen on their YouTube channel. There will be the panels will be pre-recorded, from what I understand. Some of the stuff you'll be able to watch later. Some things will only be up for a limited time. So they want people. So they've started to release the schedule every hour by hour, what the content is. There's a couple of articles here that can guide us as to what you're going to see. The Walking Dead will have a panel, of course. It can't be San Diego Comic-Con without The Walking Dead. Chris Hardwick will be there. Bob's Burgers is having a panel. There is a Disney Plus Marvel show called Marvel 616. It's that anthology series that explores Marvel's 616 universe. They're going to have a panel. Other notable panels, Bill and Ted Face the Music. There is a Star Trek universe virtual panel and a couple other movies. HBO's Historic Materials. So The Boys Season 2 will have a panel. There will be lots of television shows appearing. Who won't be there? There is no Marvel Studios or Lucasfilm presence at this virtual Comic-Con. Do you guys think you're going to take some time and try to catch any of these panels? Pop in, pop out?
I'll check out some clips, yeah.
Like, would you go live to the YouTube page?
If I remember to, maybe, yeah. I'm not really thinking about it. It's not on my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds kind of fun, and there may be some reveals, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of reveals for big movies that not coming out.
Like, I'm a loser, and I'm too busy to do this shit.
It's a lot. But
I'm trying to figure out who's at home doing nothing. I mean, everybody is, I guess. I don't know. Maybe people will love it.
Maybe it'll do well. I personally won't go out of my way to watch it unless for some reason it crosses my mind and I have absolutely nothing that I'm doing.
I mean, they need to release some big shit, but
it's not like in my bones where I'm like, oh, I got to fucking do this. Like, it's not like been advertised enough, or, I mean, this is the first I've been really hearing about it.
Well, I mentioned this on the show.
Yeah, but I don't give a fuck about it enough to remember.
It's
and I don't listen to what you're saying.
Yeah,
nobody.
I'm thinking about. Do you still have Arrested Serp samples on your soundboard? That's what
I don't. I should put those back in.
Yeah. See, this is Democracy Manifest,
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
I mean, obviously, Anthony, you can't compare to the convention experience, which you had a good time when you went there.
I did. You know, me and you went to a convention basically right on the precipice of COVID exploding.
Yep. C2E2 in February was the last one, and that was a lot of fun. But look, with nothing else to do and no content coming out, I'm gonna check it out. I'll let you know if anything was good.
This is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Text me immediately if anything good is happening.
I will.
And that way I'll know to tune in.
I will curate the fucking panels for you. They added, I said there's no Marvel Studios movies, but there will be a Marvel movie just added today. It is the long-delayed cursed film, The New Mutants.
Oh, shit.
They just put out a new trailer today, and they will have a panel at the virtual con. You guys,
is it coming out on streaming or what's up?
No, the date is still August 28th later this year. I don't think that's gonna happen. Quick update. They every week they move Mulan and Tenet back another 2 weeks, and then AMC follows suit and moves their opening back 2 weeks. So everything has been pushed into August, and I think that is even overly optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, as these cases go up in a lot of hot spots, it just seems like a worse and worse idea to have a movie theater open.
Right? That's even at any reduced capacity.
I mean, and I'm the one that on the show that was going, I think I'd be fine. But ready. Now I'm thinking about it, I'm going, sitting in the same spot for 2 to 3 hours.
Pass.
How is Chicago doing, by the way? Are they on the downswing, or what's up with that?
Anthony?
We're slightly ticking up again, but not exponentially. So
Illinois had been doing really good. They had it steady. The city of Chicago itself is pretty well locked down. It's like surrounding areas.
New York is doing really well, except cops are getting killed.
Yeah, I mean, I heard New York's doing well. We're on the precipice, though, where we had a press conference where the mayor was going, I'll shut the bars down again if this starts getting really bad, and we're getting close enough where I might think about doing it.
Don't fuck around with Lori Lightfoot. She will kick your ass.
She will.
She don't care. So, yeah,
her analogy, did you hear it?
I think so.
She goes, some people make fun of me because I'm like the mom that will turn around if you guys are acting up.
Yes.
She's like, well, I'm not just the mom that's going to turn around from the party and take you back home. I'm the mom that's going to stop the car, make you walk home. So basically, don't fuck with me.
She don't fuck around. It's quite fun to watch. The memes of her are amazing. Anyways, back to the New Mutants trailer. They're showing more footage. At this point, just release the whole movie in short teasers.
Oh, shit.
How about that? Just give me 20-minute segments, put it out online.
Just put it on Disney Plus already, you assholes. You nothing on Disney Plus that's new, really, right? So
yeah,
Hamilton,
and not until Mandalorian
I already watched
later.
it.
Yeah. Well,
I blew my load already.
What'd you guys think of this new trailer? With you get to see was that Wolfsbane all fired up and a lot more powers and some more action.
It's only 50 seconds. They still kind of have a horror vibe, but they've definitely changed the vibe as far as a trailer from straight horror to more of your kind of typical superhero movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
With the same beats and trailer hit at the end with a big action scene. So they looks like they're trying to get away from that horror vibe a little bit.
Ruggs, anything new for you? Stick out in this?
Well, I didn't watch it, so
no. Fuck off then. Here's the thing I don't understand is like they're doing this big push for this movie for this August date. I just didn't want to get involved in it because I know that like this movie's never coming out. So I'm like, I'm not even going to entertain another trailer. Poor.
Like, how many times have we been jerked around by this?
I believe this, like, they're up to like 7 different dates. I don't know.
I think that Jesus will come back before this movie gets released. Jesus, the rapture will happen.
Aliens will come before the New Mutants movie comes out.
Oh, shit.
I feel so bad for this bastard redheaded stepchild of a fucking movie trying to come out. Now, here's further proof that this August 28th thing may not happen. I found this other article on comicbookmovie.com. This dude, Doug Kreutz, who is a managing director and senior research analyst at a company called Cohen. I'm not sure what they do. He is quoted as saying, we now expect domestic theaters to be largely closed until mid-2021.
Oh, shit.
In part because we don't think studios will be interested in releasing their largest movies into a capacity-constrained footprint. He's already saying they don't anticipate any new films released in fiscal year 2020. And it says here for Disney, that ends in September. So,
really?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tenet, did you see this story? Tenet needs to make $800 million to fucking break even.
Oh, shit.
That's how the numbers break down.
How much did it cost to make?
I don't know. It must be like $200 million. It had $200 million budget, which is hefty.
Yeah. They gotta, I don't know why he must be just dead set on putting it out, but he just needs to. They just need to take it back. Just wait. I don't know why they unless it's costing them money to wait. I guess it's burning money in the hole in their pocket. Just all this money sitting out there, but just wait.
He seems dead set not only on putting it out in the theater, but in a packed theater. Like he wants a theatrical
and with
experience.
No chairs in them.
Yes, everyone just stand. How about that?
Did anybody get that reference?
No. What was that from?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, Christopher Nolan was being talked about because he didn't let chairs allowed on his set because he didn't want people sitting around.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway was talking about how it's like if you're sitting, you're not working, but if you're always standing, you're kind of, your mind's active. And I kind of get that. It seems a little bit cruel, but it kind of makes sense.
Draconian.
Also. It's a little draconian. But if you just don't have the opportunity to people to sit down, they're going to fuck off and pull their phone out and lose focus or whatever. And that's what he thinks, I guess.
All right.
Nolan,
I guess people should be not sitting in the theater then.
Look, if he wants to put this out, then Nolan, build your own theater where there's no chairs, and I will come see Tenet.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
How about that? So, in the meantime, we got streaming movies. I don't know.
Why don't he just put it on stream?
No, they don't want to do that.
I guess he wants the full theater experience. Huh,
he needs to make $800 million also. They're not making that. And he's dead set on a theatrical experience release, yes.
Yeah, I guess. I just, the ridiculous prices that people are charging for stream and getting paid or getting for it. Like the $20 for King of Staten Island.
Yeah, he could do $20 for Tenet.
I think you'd do $20 for if King of Staten Island is going to set the bar at $20.
Yes, that should be standard.
Yeah, it's a slam dunk. Yeah,
but you're not.
It sucks for us, but still,
you're not making anywhere near your opening weekend box office is the problem. So,
I wonder what the economics are. And
listen, I pay $20 for a lap dance.
Yeah.
So that's 5 minutes long.
Yeah, but no you can't touch. No contact.
Contactless
they don't even take off their bottoms.
Oh, it's $15 for the contactless lap dance. You get a little cut.
Really?
Yeah, they just float over you.
Do they even have those now?
Anyways, life is still up in the air for the entertainment industry, as it were. Let's get back into an era when there were movies coming out. In fact, a year that was possibly the best year in movies ever. 1999.
What year are we talking about again?
1999. Remember?
Oh, again?
How old were you again in 1999, Anthony?
11.
You were 11, you bastard.
Yeah.
So he was old enough to know what his penis was.
I did know what that was, yeah.
There's something happening down there. I was 23.
We're starting to beat the bishop at that point.
Look, we're still in 1999. This is the last time. First of all, let me check in. How are you guys feeling after watching 12 movies in 3 weeks?
I enjoyed myself.
I did too.
I have been enjoying myself.
Me too.
So this week I was going in a little bit like, I'm kind of tired of 99. And then by the end of it, I went, this was a lot of fun. I'm still having a lot of fun with this. This is great.
That's the thing. So, listener, check out our last episode where we discuss Being John Malkovich, Magnolia, The Iron Giant, Office Space, and then the episode before we talked about American Beauty, The Sixth Sense, The Matrix, and Office Space. That was the first one. I retyped
12
it.
movies we did so far.
Yes. Anyways,
and there's still more to go, but like we might not do it.
We're going to cap it here.
We'll cap it. If we want to revisit, we can.
Yes, but we need a break. After this, I will need a break. But these 4 movies this episode, we will be talking about Eyes Wide Shut, Go, Talented Mr. Ripley, and Election. Also fucking entertaining to watch. Like, it was kind of a lot of fun.
They had a lot of common themes.
Yes, again.
It was weird how
yes.
this particular 4 went together so well.
So you chose this grouping, Ruggs. Any comments on
why? Why did you choose these 4?
Well, these are things that you might have not seen that were off the beaten path a little bit. Like Eyes Wide Shut has the only one that has like name recognition with Stanley Kubrick, and they had like some kind of like major.
Cruz and Kidman were dating at the time.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Married.
There was a lot.
Married,
There was a lot of juice in this one. But Go and Election were kind of like little movies.
Yeah.
And Talented Mr. Ripley was kind of like an off the beaten path type movie. They had done this movie before a couple times.
Yep.
It was weird that Matt Damon was the guy that they chose, and it was just I don't know if anybody was like expecting him to actually pull it off.
You're dealing with this young up and coming cast that have all went on to be huge.
Like all of these have like you might have missed them in the theater, you might not have known about them, or you might have like brushed them off as stupid movies or Oscar grab movies or whatever. And I just was very surprised that I subliminally picked these, and they all kind of went together.
It's quite amazing. Well done.
Really well. Like it was like when you go to a dinner and like all the courses kind of like are vibing together,
and the wine works with it.
Yeah, like it was all kind of like it was a good week.
I like that analogy. All right, let's get into it. Of course, again, let me give you, if you haven't watched any of these movies, you had 21 years, go fuck yourself. Here's your spoiler alert.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
We're going to start with Election, which on Rotten Tomatoes is at a 92% score, average rating 7.82 out of 10. The budget for this movie, $25 million. It goes on to make $14 million. Just like you said, Ruggs, a movie that
MTV movie produced.
Almost. That's
no. I mean, it was produced. I think in tandem with MTV.
Yeah, MTV was the production.
It was an MTV produced movie. Yes. Yeah. It was Oscar nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. This movie's directed by Alexander Payne from a screenplay by Payne and writer Jim Taylor, based on Tom Perrotta's 1998 novel of the same name, Election. This movie stars Matthew Broderick as a teacher, Jim McAllister, Reese Witherspoon as Tracy Flick, a name that has stuck around in pop culture. This is the film debut of Chris Klein, who, of course, goes on in American Pie, becomes a big star. Then you got Jessica Campbell, Molly Hagan, Mark Herlick, Phil Reeves, and I think that is your main cast there. Delaney Driscoll also in there. Anthony, had you ever seen this movie before?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, give us the plot synopsis. It's kind of straightforward.
For what it's worth, this movie, for the guy that wrote the book about 1999 being the best year, I don't quote me on this, but I believe he said this was his favorite movie from the year.
He did. I have a quote from him later.
Okay.
Why? But yes.
Okay. What is this movie about?
Yeah.
This movie is about a high school election for the president of the class or president of the student committee in Omaha, Nebraska, where this girl played by Reese Witherspoon is going for the presidency and is basically the perfect student on paper, yet also steps over everybody. She has had an affair with one of her teachers. The best friend of this teacher, played by Matthew Broderick, knows about this affair and goes basically out of his way to try to stop her from winning the election. And it's basically a dark comedy about this guy's attempt to stop her and his crumbling life because of it.
Yeah, about his failure. The director, Alexander Payne, after this, goes on to do movies like About Schmidt, Jack Nicholson, Sideways, which is kind of quirky, The Descendants, Nebraska, and then Downsizing, where he shrinks Matt Damon.
They're all good movies.
Yeah, he's a very quirky, unique director. Ruggs, let's start with you. What did you think of Election?
One of the things that, the first thing that comes up in my mind is that I think of Rushmore, which came out the year before.
Yeah.
Which is about a student or a teacher that was obsessed with the teacher and all that stuff. So I always get these two movies confused.
Yeah.
Because they're high school weirdo movies.
Rushmore's Wes Anderson.
Yeah, Rushmore's Westmore is Rushmore Wes Anderson, and it is very Wes Anderson of a film, and it put Bill Murray's in it, so all the great things about that. So for some reason, when I went into this, I kept thinking about Rushmore, and I was like, oh, this movie, I remember, and I totally forgot about it. For some reason, it kept on overshadowing my memory of this movie. So when I watched it, it was like watching it again for the first time.
Nice.
And I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I thought it was great because it's a movie about ethics and morals.
Yep.
Right? It's a movie about, what is the difference? And the ethics are what people expect you to do. Like society puts these expectations on you. So those are ethics. And morals is what you personally believe. Tracy Flick, she seems to be ethical, but she's not moral.
Yeah.
And the best thing that this guy could do morally is to stop her from winning the election because she's cheated. So he's doing the morally right thing, but ethically the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it is the interplay of when those things collide. And it's a very interesting film about that. I think that I enjoyed this film a lot, even though it's very dark. I mean, it's like American Beauty, a dark film. And 1999 is rife with those dark films. And I think 1999 was they were trying to get all of this darkness out before the 2000s came in.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen this movie once, and this was the second time watching it. But I found it darkly comic. The performances are very good. I thought the writing was really funny. I love Matthew Broderick. It's ironic that this is like Ferris Bueller. Is this
running is just hilarious throughout this whole film.
So he's like the opposite of Ferris, but could this be Ferris Bueller grown up and ends up, as a school counselor or teacher? And I see it as a satire of the two-party system and throwing a third party in there and election fraud. A lot of people say that they connect with those themes. I do have a feeling Anthony does not like this movie. Am I right, Anthony?
So this movie was hyped up because of this one guy that I said that it was his favorite movie, and I put on my Instagram, I'm watching this movie. I find it hard to believe it was the best movie of all time. But I watched it. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I thought this was... So you're wrong, Imran.
Well, shit, I'm off. Okay.
I thought it was clever. I thought it was freaking hilarious. Reese Witherspoon plays the biggest bee you've ever met in your life.
Yes.
Matthew Broderick, it feels like Ferris Bueller grew up and is now this sad
and his life
teacher
sucks. Yeah.
that is trying to have an affair with his neighbor and has a bee sting his eye. I mean, it's just some of the writing is so dark, but it's so ridiculous and so clever. I thoroughly enjoyed the entire movie. I enjoyed it on its face value. I enjoy the allegories to real life elections. I enjoyed the themes of ethics and morals. The whole thing. I mean, it's just very. I'm surprised I never heard of it. I thought it was a very, very well done movie.
You know what? It was a forgettable movie when I first watched it, to be honest with you, because there was another movie like it before, and it overshadowed it in my mind. But like watching it again, I was like, wow, how come I don't remember this movie? It does so many directorial things, like moving the camera and cutting and the editing and all that stuff is really, really well done. And it's very impressive. So I could see that this guy would go on to make other great films like The Descendants and the one when they go to the winery. I forgot the name of that. Sideways.
Yeah, I love that one.
With Paul Giamatti. Very fucking good movie.
Yeah.
So like this film, it's just like very progressive in its thinking as well. Like, see, you guys don't know, like in the 90s, this is like a long time ago, but the society was already there with a lot of this stuff. And we were all thinking about these kind of things. It's questioning politics, questioning the moral, all the stuff that people are doing on Facebook right now and Twitter, like, virtue signaling and kind of all this type of things, like acting one way, but actually being another way personally, So it's like there is a lot to think about. It does give you a lot to chew on, and it's actually a really good experience. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun, dark movie. And American Beauty is a fun, dark movie sometimes too.
Similar.
So it kind of like it's somewhere in that vibe, and I like that. I miss movies like this a lot. Like we don't really have these anymore because people don't have the stomach for them. Like Knives Out is probably one of the ones that is kind of on the same level, I would say, that I recently saw.
Yeah, that
has the bite to it that it does it, because like Knives Out is dark and it's an allegory and there's all this stuff, but it's fun to watch. And this is kind of like that type of filmmaking that we don't get to see as much. I'm really wowed by this film. Like I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did the second time.
Alexander Payne's movies, I just watched this video about that. His movies that he writes and directs, a lot of them deal with failure. And you have a perfect example of middle-aged, this guy, Broderick, middle-age crisis and just failure and what failure does to people, what choices it makes them make.
When that lady,
Linda Novotny,
Novotny, when he tells her, let's get a room, right? And then she's like, oh, whatever. And he plays it off. He threw it out there, And
then he went for it again.
No, but she went for it. And then she sold him down the river and told his wife.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, the betrayal is so fucking crazy.
When he calls her, he goes, wait a minute, you kissed me.
Yes.
You're the one that suggested this, and now I love you. You told her. What are you doing? He's like, just the desperation and he's so appalled that she would tell on him and ruin his life like that.
The only thing that would be worse if he didn't fuck her, but he already did in that morning. So at least that was
even just the little things, like he's cleaning out the fridge and he throws someone's food on the ground.
Yeah, and the janitor sees it.
Yeah. But and morally, he was wrong for throwing someone's food out of the fridge just to clear space. But the janitor sees it, and then it ends up biting him in the ass at the end because the janitor rats him out.
I love what McAllister goes through. Like while he's having this disaster with his marriage and Linda Novotny, and gets stung in the eye with a bee, can't catch a break. Then over here, you have Tracy Flick just pushing all his fucking buttons. And what an incredible, this has one of Reese Witherspoon's best performances I've ever seen. everyone has known someone like Tracy Flick who's just too much, just too ambitious, too accomplished, too hardworking. It's fucking annoying.
Well, what's great too is she wins the election, and she kind of wins a little bit in terms of social status in life.
Yeah.
She's not happy. It's clear that she's not happy with college either. It wasn't what but she wins in life, and you the whole movie you want her to lose, yet she wins. And the only comeuppance she gets is he just throws his shake at her
at the limo,
at the limo, and runs away. But like it felt so true to what would really happen.
But did you notice something weird about that? Like Tracy Flick is clearly the model of liberalism, right? Like Hillary Clinton has been called Tracy Flick the whole time, like Elizabeth Dole, Hillary Clinton. But at the end, she's working for a Republican senator.
Oh shit!
I was like, that's
so would Hillary in a second.
Well, I guess they
to climb.
Yeah, because this is her thing. She would step over whoever she needed to get what she wanted. She didn't give a fuck.
And then one of my favorite things is you got the fucking good-hearted jock who is moral.
Chris Klein, yes.
And he's like this innocent dude, and he just kind of gets swept up in this, and he's actually very empathic, and he's like really thinking about other people's feelings the whole time, and it's totally a turn on the trope, right? So the jock's supposed to be an asshole.
His vote, him being so empathetic, his vote wins for Tracy.
Yeah, because
he just votes for himself.
He voted for her.
He wins.
Yeah,
exactly.
The one vote.
He votes for her because he feels it's wrong to vote for yourself.
And then that moment where McAllister sees Tracy Flick celebrating in the hallway before, and he's like, "Oh fuck this!"
I mean, even like the little freeze frames where it's like the most awkward, unflattering angle.
Yes,
yeah,
she's always twisted face. I love
the speech from Chris Klein where he's so nervous that that's exactly the speech 95% of the people in that audience would make.
You know, here's what else I loved. Like, it felt very genuine. Like, these felt like real people. It had a genuine high school feel. And the reason for this is Alexander Payne went back to his high school in Omaha, Nebraska, shot this there, used a lot of the students as extras. Now, check this out. When Chris Klein read that, I was like, this guy is either an amazing actor, because that's hard to do. Read it like you not acting, or he's not an actor. Turns out, Chris Klein had never acted before. Alexander Payne discovers him. He went to high school there. He got in the movie. Payne discovers him, and he goes in the same year, makes American Pie, becomes a big star. So that reading of that
and then he was in the Street Fighter movie.
Where is he now, though? He's not doing much now.
We should get him on the podcast.
We can get Chris Klein on the podcast.
That's the type of guy that we need.
Talk about election. Yes. No, the editing is fantastic. You clearly see the influences of like Casino and Goodfellas type camera work and editing, cutting to the music, the multiple characters' point of view, voiceover. Like, here's a case where voiceover isn't just giving you exposition, lazy exposition. You learn about each of these characters. And that reminded me of like Fight Club and another movie we're going to talk about, Go, and Ripley. They all kind of started with voiceovers. Any other connections to the other movies that you see? I mean, it is about...
Well, I'll start with saying that this is the first of multiple films that we're going to talk about where one actor is appearing in two movies from this year. Chris Klein is in American Pie and this movie.
Yeah, almost every movie has a double.
Strange.
And they do it in the same year. It's kind of crazy that they come out in the same year. Big movies too. I also love that during this glut of teen movies in the 90s, this is an R-rated high school teen black
it's a dark
comedy.
Movie.
Yeah, well, you had the whole thing about the lesbian girl and the girl who like started dating her brother.
Yeah, Lisa Flanagan out of spite, and then the lesbian sister runs out of spite. And I love her anarchy speech. She's like, "I'll shut down the government. You vote for me."
Yeah. So there is an anarchist movement in this.
So
she gets the biggest crowd reaction too.
He said, Payne said he was inspired by the 1992 election where it was Clinton and Bush, and then Ross Perot inserted himself as the third party, blew everything up.
Oh, shit.
That was the whole sister deal. It was
great.
The third party come in, and then election fraud. Like, shenanigans happen all the time.
Well, I mean, the movie starts out on the fact that Tracy Flick is basically being, would you consider that statutory rape?
Oh, yeah. Well, she's consented, but...
she's under 18.
That's true.
Do you remember when he tried to bring that up to her?
Oh yeah, she turns it around so quick.
Oh my God!
That scene when she turns it around on him, you hate her forever.
Yeah.
After that point, you're just like, oh my god, this girl is the biggest bitch I've ever seen in my life.
Let's not forget my favorite fucking scene in the movie is the quick shot of Matthew Broderick washing his balls in the bathtub.
I couldn't tell if he was jerking it to get one out
No,
before.
he's cleaning up before
like
the
empty
fucking...
the chamber out so he lasts longer, or he's washing his ball.
I love that he has a pop quiz so he can go freshen up the motel.
Yeah, pop and he's running. He could have used the Manscaped package with the ball deodorant and the toner and shaved it right up. It would have been
then
great.
he goes back to the motel and the guy's like, same room. He's like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Well, that's fine. After his wife kicks him out. Oh my god.
She's like, fill me up.
Yeah.
When you're having sex.
He's staring at her boobs like it's
he's imagining as he's doing her from behind Novotny, and then he's imagining Tracy Flick
floating head on top of it. That was another great part.
I wish Novotny was a little bit hotter. That would have been that kind of killed it for me.
She's kind of got like the next door.
She was not. She was not
attractive.
She looked way older than him too.
Yeah, she did. But look,
Matthew Broderick still looked like he was from Ferris Bueller. He could have maybe been a kid in that movie.
I like to imagine that this is Ferris grown up and he's stuck in a shitty job. That's fucking hilarious. McAllister has to stop the Tracy Flicks of the world. Oh, another great scene is when he's explaining democracy and he's like, you can vote, and they're all just the same circles. It's like you're choosing between the same circle.
And Chris Klein's just like,
he's like, what?
But I like bananas too.
I like bananas. What's your favorite fruit?
Oh, apples.
Fucking Klein is
the whole thing,
good.
there's so many clever, even the ending when he's a teacher at the museum and then there's that little kid that's, you can tell is the next Tracy Flick willing to answer his question.
He won't pick on him. He's like, you can't escape.
Like, fuck you.
You can't escape the Tracy Flicks of the world.
Oh,
I think that's one of the messages of this movie is they're going to be out there and you need to stop them.
They're terrible people and they're going to take over.
So I watched, there was another clip online with a different ending that they shot. The original ending, it's not as good. This ending is perfect. The way they left it off with him throwing the Pepsi at the limo. The original ending, he hadn't moved out of Omaha and he was working at a car dealership, and Tracy Flick comes to buy a car from him and they drive to her house and she brings him the yearbook and they like sort of apologize and they sign it. They kind of settle.
No,
it was not good at all.
You don't want them to ever.
You want him to hate her for the rest of his life.
He's like, who does she think she is? Like,
because that's reality right there.
Imagine
I love that he's living in New York and he goes, my place has character and it's a $1,500 apartment with a bathroom in the kitchen.
Dude, those are accurate New York. I've seen apartments like that. Those are accurate New York apartments. Just one room.
You shit in the sink.
You shit in the sink. You shower in the fucking.
I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and I went into the movie definitely like I'm not gonna like this movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm surprised. So that dude you mentioned, Brian Rafferty, he's the author. His book is called Best Movie Year Ever: How 1999 Blew Up the Big Screen. Here's what he says about why Election is the best movie. He says, I vote for Election. I could give you a million specific reasons from the script to the performances, but it's simply because it feels perfectly executed in every way possible. And for what it's worth, a lot of the people I interviewed, including David Fincher, Sofia Coppola, put it at the top of their list or very near it. And it is. It's widely acclaimed. People love it. And I can see why. I just kind of forgot about the movie too, Ruggs.
Yeah, it's like you forget about it and you're like, why did I forget about this great movie? And I wonder how many other movies I forgot that were great.
If the Oscars were 10, and I had a choice in picking 10 movies, I would have probably included this
that year
in the best
99.
Picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just so clever and entertaining, and
it's witty.
When you throw in the allegories to real life, that just takes it over the top.
A great comedy of bad morals that you rarely get.
Matthew Broderick is just so fucking funny.
He is. He's great.
Everything he does. At some point in the movie, it just turns on him.
Yeah.
And
his reactions,
he has somewhat good, you're kind of rooting for him because you're like, he's not happy with his wife. Just cheat, whatever. And you don't want him to cheat on the election results, and it just all backfires so bad.
I mean, his facial reactions are amazing. Like when he walks in, when they figure out he fucked with the election, and then just his face is amazing. You're like,
the principal is such a dickhead too.
Yes, he played a very good dickhead.
The bee stinging his eye. He's, fuck!
I can't catch a break. This poor sack. What a schlub.
and the way Tracy thinks of him as this, she's like, this guy can't even impregnate his own wife, and he's a teacher at the same school, saying the same things over and over. I'm just like, wow, that's kind of true, but that's such a bitchy thing to think.
So
about
harsh. She's fucking harsh.
Well, I mean, like, the reality is any job that you do, you're going to be doing the same fucking thing every day. That's what Office Space is about.
You know,
the banality of it.
Although I remember thinking that about teachers when I was going to school, because at some point it hits you. You're like, wait a minute. You teach the same shit over and over again every year. That's got to be a kind of a weird
but a big thing for this teacher was the relationships. He really invests in the relationships he has with his students.
He helps them.
But he could never do that with Tracy because his best friend was screwed over by this girl.
He was talking about her pussy.
Yeah, he's like,
her pussy was
so wet. He's like, don't say that. I don't want that. You can't say that. That was great. He's like, a pussy gets so wet.
That's when he gets corrupt. I think if that teacher never says that to this character, he never gets corrupted by this.
And you also get the feeling that McAllister both hates her and is kind of attracted to her at the same time. Tracy.
Yeah, well, he's dreaming about her when he's fucking his wife.
Yeah. He wants to hate fuck her.
He wants to hate fuck her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He would like to do that just to expose her.
Can you see a movie like this coming out now?
Oh my God, with the fucking...
like Knives Out was a movie, but it was also a critique on like whatever, like the government and, Trump and all that stuff. It is underlying. So it was like punching down. This is like punching everywhere.
I mean, and just like American Beauty, you have a relationship with an older man, younger girl. Like, I don't know. Nowadays, I mean, Lolita...
I think eventually the appetite for this stuff is going to come back.
It felt so authentic and genuine, right? Like real reactions.
You didn't think that there was a bunch of suits making decisions on this film.
No, Alexander Payne, to his credit, you watch all his other movies, he makes all the decisions. He's always in complete creative control.
I'm actually surprised when I saw MTV as a production. I thought it was going to be a little more sterilized, but it's not.
No, MTV was going for it in those days.
Yeah.
They were trying to make a name for it. Like, the 90s were the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, to really embrace like your art. That was a great time for that, for being creative. It was great. That's why, I mean, Weinstein and all these guys they funded and produced all these films.
Made tons of these movies.
Yeah, and they put themselves on the map.
Yeah.
They can't compete in today's type of franchise filmmaking market that there is, and then the global market. When the theaters can only play here and have to live and die on what they make here, things are a little different. So it's a whole different ball game, my friends.
Sure is. Listener,
you'll start to see. I think just real quick, you'll start to see these types of movies. But you'll start to see them released on streaming.
It will, like we said last week, it will cycle back, but it's going to be in a different format.
The streaming services, because they're so hungry for content,
will take
risks.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
And actually pay out money.
They got the money. Like Netflix will pay for.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix gave X amount of dollars to that guy that made Extraction. Granted, it's an action film, but that guy never directed anything.
Yeah. They're like, fuck it, go wild.
Do it.
We're Netflix. Whatever. We don't care.
I just think that these companies are too worried about repercussions.
Yeah. Blowback, bad press. Listener, join the conversation.
What about percussion?
Percussion? Those are drums.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Congas?
if you're drumming.
Yes.
Then you have to worry about it.
What you talking about, Mr. Drummond? Listener, join the conversation. Join our awesome Facebook group. It's called Jock and Nerd Nation. It's a place that you can chat with other listeners and us in between listening to the shows. You can get your geek fix on.
Geek boner.
And you can also express disappointment
Floppy Jock
for things as well. You could do both things. But it's a lot of fun. Our listeners are great. Check it out. It's closed exclusive. Let's move on to our next movie of the episode. This one is The Talented Mr. Ripley. Rotten Tomatoes, 83%. 7.36 out of 10 average rating. The budget of this movie, $40 million. Worldwide, this thing actually makes some money. $128 million box office when all's said and done. This one, written and directed by Anthony Minghella. It's an adaptation of Patricia Highsmith's 1955 novel of the same name. There are 4 more novels that she wrote about this character, Tom Ripley, and there's a bunch of adaptations.
And there's some movies too, by the way.
And there's
one starring John Malkovich.
Yeah, there's a Malkovich movie and one of the sequel adaptations of the Ripley books.
One is French.
Yeah. So this sociopath character goes on. So writer-director Anthony Minghella at the time, this was post-English Patient. and he won the Academy Award for Best Picture for English Patient. And then, wait, I had a note in here. There was something really sad.
He died of a hemorrhage?
He dies in 2014.
You have here 2008. I don't know how that has to do with 1999, but okay.
No, but edit that out, Imran.
No, it's kind of sad because he does go on to make some good movies. It's just he died at 54, very young. It was complications from surgery.
He had like a cancer surgery.
Yeah, he had a cancer surgery, and then he started hemorrhaging. But he did the
way to really just put this.
Well, he's a very talented director, and you're like, hey, what has he done lately? Nothing, because he's dead.
Exactly.
But
and he's not the only director to die after making a movie we're going to talk about. So he does Cold Mountain.
Well, technically, every director dies after making a movie.
Well, eventually. Yeah. Breaking and entering. I just thought it was sad because I was exactly like Rugg said. I was like, what else has this guy done? And so here's your cast. You have Matt Damon post Goodwill Hunting, which got him the Best Original Screenplay Oscar. Gwyneth Paltrow coming off Shakespeare in Love, which she won a Best Actress Oscar. You got Cate Blanchett fresh off a Best Actress nomination for Elizabeth from 1998. She lost to Gwyneth Paltrow in that race. And it was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Jude Law, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Original Score. Anthony, you had not seen this one either.
I have seen this one.
Oh,
this is one of the movies out of these four that I've seen multiple times and remember.
Also, you have another appearance of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who we saw in Magnolia.
Exactly, second guy.
And Philip Baker Hall, who is
also in
Magnolia. So
they just kind of like went across the street to this movie.
Well, they had to fly to Italy for this shit. Anthony, what is The Talented Mr. Ripley about?
Talented Mr. Ripley is about this, I guess, a sociopath that is great at forgery and happens to, by happenstance, run into a rich guy who thinks he went to school with his son. His son, being played by Jude Law, is in Italy, and he sends Matt Damon, thinking that Matt Damon is Jude Law's friend, Dickie
Greenleaf.
Dickie Greenleaf, played by Jude Law, sends him over to Italy with the mission of getting him back to America. But this sociopath gets so obsessed with Dickie Greenleaf sexually and just with his life that he decides to want to become Dickie Greenleaf, and we see what happens.
I'm going to start this one because I think I only saw this once way back in 1999, and I'm watching it again this week. Holy fuck, I forgot how good this fucking movie is. I found it an amazing, compelling story. You're watching Matt Damon as Tom Ripley become this sociopath serial killer. It kind of reminded me of like the Instagram celebrities today, maybe a little Billy McFarland from the Fire Festival, Billy McFarland. But what a great, again, a thriller about identity and existential dread. I forgot how, but in the lush scenery, I fucking loved it. Anthony, what'd you think?
Having seen this a few times, I looked at the run time for this. I go, damn, 2 hours, long 15 minutes. Seen it a little bit. Feel like this is going to be long, just getting through this. I watched it again. I'm like, damn, this movie moves fast for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Jumps right into it. Just as good as the previous times I've seen it. Jude Law is great in this movie. Matt Damon is super compelling. What's really interesting about this movie is Matt Damon is by all accounts just a horrible, psychotic creep.
Yep.
Like he is a creep. You don't ever want to be around someone like that. He's a monster, as you said. Yet this movie makes you kind of root for him to get away with everything.
He's so charming, though.
He's not even. I wouldn't find him charming. You just, for whatever reason, you're just so infatuated like him.
Yeah.
With just
the lifestyle.
How is he going to get away with this? And the movie makes Italy seem really creepy and scary, and there's just this whole sense of dread throughout the entire film. Yet you can't help but not look at it and just go, who else is he going to kill? How is he going to get away with this? How long can he keep up this charade? So even though I've seen it a few times, I was still thoroughly entertained.
When did you see this? First,
I think I saw it when it came out because my mom mom or dad rented it as big fans of Matt Damon, and I watched it and I went, this isn't what I was expecting. As a kid, I thought he was like a heartthrob. What's going on here?
Yeah, why is he this gay dude that wants to be another dude?
I guess the only criticism I would have is what you just mentioned, is that they kind of attach him being gay to being creepy, especially with his like infatuation with Jude Law. But other than that, I still think the movie's very good and holds up well.
I think that, for it to work, that kind of crime of passion has to occur.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes sense in that way. But yeah, I could see how it's problematic if you look at it that way.
Right.
But I love this movie because unlike you, I don't think the Italy is.
I think it's
creepy.
I felt like I went on vacation.
I felt like you see like a few different aspects of Italy. Where they are in Montebello is actually Mount Etna, which is in Sicily. And it's off the beaten path. It's like there's a big touristy place called Taormina right next to it. That's where all the people go. And then Montebello is like an offskirt of it. And that's where you get the real like ass backwards Sicilian people that like are still like really fucked up in the head and like kind of like retrograde. But that's where they're hanging out. That's where they're living life. That's where they're enjoying
San
being
Remo.
people.
Yeah.
And San Remo is like this other place that's actually a little bit more highbrow.
Yeah.
So, and that's on the mainland in Sicily, in Italy, actually. So you get to see a little bit about like, you never really get the feeling that they're going to Italy on a ferry or anything, which is weird because they never like kind of make the distinction that they're on an island and they're going to Italy. But
that town is made up too, Montebello. Like I think it's I don't think it's a real.
Yeah, well, it's basically Mount Etna,
right?
So that's where it's staged. So anyhow, you fall in love. You can fall in love with it. You can think it's creepy. It's got its charm to it. I did feel like I was on vacation while I was watching.
I loved the fucking locations, the lush, opulent settings, the fashion of the period. Like the clothes were fucking great. I love the jazz music, and it's the story of like yearning to do something more, something different. It is. I think Tom Ripley himself is confused. He like wants to be with or be Dickie Greenleaf. That moment with the bathtub where they're playing chess, where they have that little tense moment, and then that leading up to the completely organic crime of passion where he just kills him on the boat, and then you're like, "Fuck, what are you gonna do now?" And then Philip Seymour Hoffman's what's that guy's name? Well, who did he play? Freddie Miles. Freddie Miles is all up in his shit, and I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna have to fucking kill Freddie too now." And he kills like 3 people in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, Freddie Miles is such a scumbag, but yet he's also the smartest guy and right away realizes, oh, this guy's a fake. There's something up with this guy.
Yeah,
this
he's
guy
calling
is
him
not
out. Yeah.
all who he says he is.
But one of the things I love about this, like, even though he is the smartest guy, Ripley shows Jude Law his cards right off the bat in their first conversation.
He tells him everything.
He's like, I copy people. I'm a con man. I tell a lot of lies.
Yeah.
And I do impressions.
Well, I love where he's doing his dad and saying the exact words, and you're like, oh, fuck, like, how's he going to take this? But he tells him everything, right there. And I think Dickie initially likes that he's fawning over him and he can kind of train him. But then when he's like, you can be a leech and you're boring, and he's just done with him, and you feel crushed like Ripley feels crushed.
Why would you tell him that on a boat?
Right, that was a bad idea. Nobody's around. Oh, nobody knows where you are.
It's the worst place. Dickie does not know what he's doing.
I love it. Yeah, and you're right. I love
he can fuck all kinds of girls, but he doesn't know like that. If you don't want to fucking break up with somebody on a boat, it's weird. In the middle of a fucking harbor.
It was the wrong place to do it.
Yeah, he blew it.
But I do love how Italy becomes a character in the movie. You know, it's one of the characters, and Gwyneth Paltrow's good. Kate Blanchett, both are very good.
She was better in this movie than she was in the other Shakespeare movie that she got the Oscar for.
Yeah.
She's great in this movie.
Yeah.
The regarding the Italy thing, I think in beginning, it for me, it's very beautiful, but when that dead body comes out of the water, the movie turns into this just creepy movie. I felt like even Italy, even all the scenery, I'm like, there's just something haunting about the mansion that he's staying in, or the the streets or the play that he's at. Everything's just now turned a little bit. I mean, the play is about this guy getting shot, and you see all the blood.
Well,
and all that. Like, it's just, it just becomes this very strange.
So
creepy
this
movie.
is the beauty of the movie: is it sucks you in with good-looking people, with fashion, with amazing locations, and then it slowly exposes everything you're looking at as corrupt and broken and empty. And by the end, you do kind of get that dirty taste in your mouth.
Let's talk about the characters. All right. You got Margot, who's there to write her book, and she's kind of like a rich kid.
Marge Sherwood.
Marge. She's there, and she's like a rich kid
American.
writing a book.
Yeah.
She's an American. Then you got Dickie, who's there. He's there to fucking piss his dad off. That's why he's there.
Yeah, he's there to just fuck off.
He wants to make his dad squirm, and then he works with Ripley to do that. Right. And they kind of form this bond over that, which was kind of like a genius turn for him to decide, I'm going to use his dad as my in to fucking into his life, and he starts sponging off of him. And then you got the friend who shows up and knows that fucking something stinks, and that guy has to die. So, I mean, you have all this interplay of these people that are kind of, some people are looking out for each other and whatever, but he's kind of using it to his advantage. And he's manipulating people, and it's very. I can't think of a movie that has done this as well.
I love.
Oh, absolutely.
Kate Blanchett as Meredith Logue. And some people know him as Dickie, and some people know him as Tom, and he's got to play with that.
That's
amazing.
That's the first real sign. Like, he kind of fakes it till he makes it to get to Italy, but then right off the bat, you know that something's up when he just tells her, "I'm Dickie Greenleaf."
Yeah. He's like, he just goes with it.
Oh, okay. Like, you're not just learning about the guy Jude Law's life as Dickie Greenleaf and wanting to become him. You're already starting to play this game.
So this is the other thing that's fascinating. I want to ask you guys, like, this is an origin story for a serial killer, essentially a con man, a sociopath.
A Dexter type thing.
Yes, but initially in the beginning, the whole thing starts with his voiceover going, I should never have borrowed that jacket from my friend. So he right away just goes with the misunderstanding. It gets him the connection with the Greenleaf. I also love how Damon, when he gets caught, you could see in his face that the gears are turning, and he calmly comes out with the right response to always get away with it. But did he? So initially when he started talking to the dad, he didn't know he was going to meet someone like Dickie. At what point is he like, I want to be this guy? Did he commit to just keep going? Like, from the beginning of this movie,
I think that he was thinking, listen, I'm going to get a free ride to Italy.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. I'm going to give it an honest try, and see if I could, parlay. But then when he figured out that he could parlay his dad in, and then he could keep it going for a long time. Like, he was overstaying his welcome.
He's cashing checks under his name.
I think he sees Dickie Greenleaf on the beach with his girl. He's watching him first from binoculars, and I think right off the bat, he's attracted to him.
Oh, of course.
And then he meets him, and Dickie Greenleaf's girl, Marge, invites him over for dinner, and then that's when he realizes he has his in, and he sees how rich this guy is, and then it cascades from there. And what's great about this is with the writing is Jude Law's character as Dickie Greenleaf, lets him in, but also is the type of guy that uses people, right? So he uses people real quickly, lets them go. Uses people and in the end, it kind of bites him in the ass because he uses Dickie, or he uses Mr. Ripley, and that's the wrong person you want to use because that guy is a fucking sociopath.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's never leaving your ass.
But
he's a leech.
Tom Ripley at the beginning of this movie, I would argue, was not a sociopath. By the journey he takes and where he ends up by the end of this movie is fucking crazy. It's amazing.
Somewhat. But I would agree he's not as extreme, but right off the bat he learns forgery and how to impersonate
That's
people.
true.
I think that what happens is, he loses. I think the scene where that he's lost his shit is when he's trying on his clothes.
Oh yeah, and he's dancing around.
Yeah, he's dancing around.
It's like, what are you doing in here?
He's gone too far.
Yeah.
Like he's now his mind. He's in love with this guy or obsessed with this guy to an end where he's kind of lost control of what the situation is, and he goes in too far. And then when the guy tells him to get lost, he ends up doing something really dumb by killing him. So I don't think he meant to kill him. I think he just meant to knock him out or something, or I don't know. He was so enraged he was rejected, that he physically did something, but
it was so organic and believable though at that moment.
He wanted to,
and he's in the boat hugging him in the pool of blood.
Oh yeah,
he was spooning with him.
So come on, that's fucking incredible.
He wanted to. He was running before he kills him. He was running it by Dickie at that. Hey, you know, I'll make my own way out here. I'll live out here. We can do the. We can hang out. We can be best friends.
And Dickie's like, whoa,
we're long lost brothers. But so he had full intent to actually come out there on his own and try to make it like an honest go of it. But when Dickie tells him that he's boring and he's creepy, basically, that just sets him off. Because you're getting rejected by the guy that you're in love with, and you want to be like. And that guy tells you suck.
Sung jazz together. They hung out together. That Jude Law, relatively unknown at the time. This was a huge movie for him.
Gorgeous man.
Put him up. Put him on the map. He's all gold.
Oh, yeah,
so well dressed.
And they put more makeup on Matt Damon to make him look even pastier in contrast in the beginning because he was so fucking pasty. I have some pretty incredible fun facts about this movie. Matt Damon lost 30 pounds and learned to play the piano for this movie.
Oh, shit.
Jude Law had to gain weight, and he learned to play the saxophone, and that's really Matt Damon singing My Funny Valentine. He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. Here's a weird connection. You can thank this movie, Talented Mr. Ripley, for giving us Tommy Wiseau and The Room.
Oh, shit.
Tommy Wiseau reportedly inspired to make his own film after seeing Talented Mr. Ripley. So thank you, Ripley.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Lisa, you're tearing me apart. Oh, hi, doggy. Also, Matt Damon plays a great Tom Ripley, but Ripley has been played by 4 other actors. Elaine Delon in 1916's Purple Moon, which is before this. Dennis Hopper in this 1977's The American Friend. John Malkovich plays him in Ripley's Game from 2002, and Barry Pepper in 2005's Ripley's Underground. And John Malkovich apparently almost directed The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Are you curious to check out any of these?
I might want to watch the Malkovich one. I kind of want to see more about Tom Ripley. I'm curious to know what happened to him afterwards.
Plain Soleil is the actual version that they redid.
But they gender swapped Ripley, I believe, or somebody in that movie.
I don't know.
It's an old French movie. But Dennis Hopper and Malkovich as playing Tom Ripley, that's kind of interesting.
Maybe.
And I'm curious to know what Ripley's fucking sociopathic adventures are after this. And then here's the funniest thing. Remember in Deadpool 2, Matt Damon had that cameo? He was like that redneck guy on the truck under all those prosthetics and the fat suit.
Yeah.
He was named Redneck 2, but in the credits, the character that he played is listed as Dickie Greenleaf.
Geek boner.
Before we get off this movie, I just want to make a quick comment about it. And I know we talked like long ago about should we make movies about bad people?
Yeah.
And
Joker?
Yes.
Yeah, like something like that. And I'm like, yes, you should, because I was thoroughly entertained by this. I didn't want to become a sociopath after I saw it. I was just riveted in this story. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They weren't glorifying Tom Ripley. They weren't.
No, not at all.
And I think that these things are compelling, and you can create all of these interesting situations where you can feel something, or you're riveted and compelled and shocked and aghast and the whole thing. And what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what you go to the movies for. And that's art. And I think that just because a movie's about a shitty person doesn't mean that, you shouldn't make it, or you shouldn't see it, or you shouldn't think about seeing something like that.
The other thing it reminded me of is the allure of The Sopranos that came out like the next year. This was an amazing TV show all about sociopaths, and you love them all.
Well, the thing about this movie, just real quick, is the ending of this movie, his lies have gotten so intricate that actually by the end he's with the French dude or whatever. And he could live a great life with this guy. He got inherited Dickie Greenleaf's estate, or got some of his foundation, whatever the hell it is. He inherited a bunch of money. He can go off. He can openly be gay with this guy on the boat, travel with this guy. They can live together forever. But his lies have caught up to him so much that he sees Cate Blanchett's character, and he has to hate. He hates doing it, but he has to kill this guy that basically is his lover. and the one for him because he has to keep up this
because he knew
web of
Meredith.
lies.
Yes, and that part where he
and there's too many of her clan, so he can't just kill her because she's like a social magnet.
Yeah,
well,
and so
they're eventually going to find out that Dickie's dead, right?
Will
right.
they?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. But like, he plays it off like he's hiding underneath an identity, and that like the Italian police put him in, I forget what they call it here in America, where you're hidden, you're living a different life because you don't want to be exposed anymore.
Oh yeah, like asylum or something.
Yeah, like when like you've ratted out people. And,
like a witness protection deal.
Yeah. So that's the way he plays it off, but he can't kill her, even though he's actually gay and he would rather just live with this guy. He has to kill him, so it's a sad story even for Ripley. He's crying as he's fucking crushing this guy.
Yeah, because he did love that guy, but he had to kill him. Yeah,
because of all his lies.
But dude, the amazing, like, what another favorite part. Marge knows him as Tom, and Marge's friend knows him as Tom. Meredith knows him as Dickie. Marge's friend knows Meredith. When he orchestrates the meeting at the cafe, and Dickie, quote unquote, stands her up, and she happens to talk to them, confirming to Marge that Dickie is alive, and then she leaves, and then he shows up as Tom. I was like, fuck, dude.
That's so good.
That's amazing fucking orchestration and manipulation.
That and the amount of tension in the scene with Ripley and Philip Seymour Hoffman is what's his character's name?
Freddie Miles.
Freddie Miles, where they're in the room and Freddie Miles has put together that this guy is playing as Dickie Greenleaf.
And then the detective,
Tom Ripley is Dickie Greenleaf.
The detective's all up his shit, and he's looking at the sculpture that he used to kill Freddie Miles. I was like, I hope you wipe the fucking blood off that thing. Just the tension towards the last act where he's just escaping by a hair. It's so good.
So well, yeah, it's very well done.
Good stuff. Anthony, let me ask you this.
My balls was hot.
You're working from home still, right?
I am.
I think, guys, if you're still working from home in this quarantine, you have no excuse not to have your balls trimmed. I mean,
I'm doing it weekly.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
What else? Like, you have the time to manicure and self-groom.
Right.
Don't you think, Anthony? What should they use to do this?
Absolutely. And you should be using the Lawnmower 3.0, the latest edition in men's hygiene for the modern man, because it has a ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, so all your snags are definitely reduced by using this. And you don't want to be using scissors or that trimmer that you use to cut your hair, so you need your own little personal trimmer. And along with the Lawnmower 3.0, you actually get a bunch of other things if you buy the Perfect Package 3.0, including boxer briefs, a travel bag, the Crop Preserver, which I'm holding right now. It's basically ball deodorant. Then there's also the Crop Reviver, which is basically toner and refresher for your balls. So I like to use the ball deodorant post-shower after I've shaved up a little bit.
Okay.
And then I use the Reviver.
Yeah, when do you use that?
I use the Reviver right before I'm about to go out.
It's like a refresher.
Little spritz, or maybe when I think I'm getting a little action, I spritz it in. Maybe like Matthew Broderick probably would have used the
Jim
ball,
McAllister,
the Crop Reviver.
McAllister
could have
used that, yes.
He definitely would have used that prior to trying to hook up with Miss Novotny.
With Linda Novotny. Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go.
How do they get all this stuff?
You can go to manscaped.com and use our promo code JOCK, AND Jock and Nerd, and get 20% off, free shipping. Do it now because your balls will thank you later.
And you're supporting the show and you're supporting our awesome sponsor. Big shout out to Manscaped for partnering with us.
Send us a picture of your balls.
Yeah, before and after. We'll send it along to Manscaped and be like, see, look how great it is. Look, I want you, when you look at your junk, I want you to think of the Jock and Nerd.
Jock and Nerd.
That's all we're going for. Let's take a quick break here for some promos, and we'll be back with two more amazing movies from 1999 right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Was A Quiet Place inspired by Signs, It Comes at Night, and War for the Planet of the Apes? Was Ready Player One influenced by Avatar, Wreck-It Ralph, and The Last Starfighter? Is The Hurricane Heist more influenced by Sharknado or Geostorm? These are the kinds of questions my guest co-hosts and I discuss on my podcast, Piecing It Together. Every week, we look at a new movie and try to figure out what other movies inspired it. Whether it's the story, the character development, tone, or even use of music. Every movie was influenced by something that came before it, and we want to figure out what. Check out Piecing It Together on your favorite podcast app or check us out on piecingpod.com. You can also follow us on social media at piecingpod. Piecing It Together is a part of the All Points West podcast network.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
That is by far my favorite because it's also character driven and the stakes are high and there's much more of a mystery and intrigue to it.
A game like Wolfenstein, which people are saying are one of the most socially important video games of the past 10 years.
Catch our shows on radio worldwide 7 days a week or at any time on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on over 30 more podcast outlets.
Doc and Nerd.
Listener, if you enjoy the show and want to support us and get bonus content and awesome swag like stickers and t-shirts, join our fan club. Just visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jock and Nerd.
And you can sign up for a monthly pledge. Everyone gets access to a bonus RSS podcast feed that is full of extra shit. The shows come out early. We got movie reviews. We got sports shows. We got post shows. Quiet this week, but there's still tons of stuff to listen to that's been accumulating. And you join our special community over there on Patreon, jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Sign up today. All right, let's move into a drug-fueled, brave adventure here with the next movie that is called Go. This one on Rotten Tomatoes, 91%.
Oh, that's high.
Yeah, second highest. Election is at 92. This one's at 91, 7.59 out of 10 average rating. This budget is a little weird because on the Box Office Mojo page, it says $20 million. It also says that on the wiki, but I read a bunch of articles about the making of this movie, and apparently they had a budget of $3.5 million.
That sounds right.
That makes way more sense. And then later, Sony got involved. They were shopping it around, and it went up to $5 million. But this is definitely a $5 million movie, not a $20 million movie.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way there's 20 million.
Yes.
Where would it go?
I don't know. I have no idea. To the fucking
pun intended.
Music. Where would it go? To the music licensing. Worldwide box office doesn't make a lot of money. $28 million, but becomes a cult hit, and DVD sales were healthy later. This one is written by John August, who's actually written a lot of big things. After this movie, he goes on to write Titan AE. That was the animated movie, right?
Yeah, it was good.
That was a good movie. He does the Charlie's Angels.
Okay, not amazing, but yeah.
He does Charlie's Angels, Big Fish with Tim Burton, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Corpse Bride, Frank and Weenie, and he wrote on the live action adaptation of Aladdin, most recently, John August, and directed by Doug Liman. I fucking love.
Crazy that this guy directed this movie.
This guy, I love Doug.
What he went on to do.
This is he is coming off one of my other favorite movies of the 90s, Swingers, right?
I was about to say the same thing. The reason why I went to see this movie is because I love Swingers.
Swingers came out in 1996, launches the career of Favreau and Vince Vaughn, and it's the ultimate guy hangout movie. Anthony, have you ever seen Swingers?
No.
Yeah, it compared to this, it looks like he made it in college in film class.
This one or Swingers?
No,
Swingers.
Yeah,
okay.
Swingers is even though this movie's rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Swingers is even more rough around. It's almost like a Kevin Smith movie.
Yes, very independent feel. Go also, it was a run and gun shoot. They didn't have a lot of time, which you get a lot of that in the movie. But then Doug Liman goes on to direct The Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, Edge of Tomorrow. He does American Made, another Tom Cruise movie that's really, really good about Barry Seal, who ran CIA weapons for the Contras during the Nicaragua thing, and then ran drugs back, and then it's so good. It's a very good movie. So he's also working on Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, the sequel to Edge of Tomorrow. And he's also attached to that untitled Tom Cruise SpaceX space movie, whatever they're going to do with him.
I like his movies.
Yeah, Doug Liman is amazing.
I do too.
He still considers this his best film, even now, looking back at it. The cast, has a great cast of
this is the fucking 90s.
Unknown, very little known, unknown up-and-comers from the 90s. You got Sarah Pauli as kind of the lead, Rana. Katie Holmes, Dawson's Creek cutie Katie Holmes. You got William Fichtner, Jay Moore, Scott Wolf, Party of Five. You also got Taye Diggs, Breckenmeyer, Timothy Oliphant, real early role, Desmond Askew, Jane Krakowski, J.E. Freeman, and Melissa McCarthy in her film debut.
Oh, shit.
So I love this cast. Very young, lots of energy. Anthony, I have a feeling you had not seen this or even heard of this movie.
Never fucking heard of
You
this
never
movie.
heard of this movie.
No.
Wow. Okay, what's Go about?
I put this out on my Instagram. I went, I've never heard of this film.
Did your friends know
And
this movie?
One of my friends goes, that can't be good. Just the way it looked right off the bat with the poster.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay.
Disagree.
What is this movie about? This is Pulp Fiction for 1999 with teenagers. It's like three separate storylines that interweave around just debauchery. One storyline with Rana where she basically heists a drug dealer and is selling drugs at a rave. One storyline being her coworker going to Vegas and getting into some debauchery. And the third storyline being this gay couple that are these two male actors that are caught up in a sting and end up having to go to this party as well that Rana's at. So it's these three storylines that are told from three different perspectives in 3 acts. So each act is a part of the movie.
They all kind of connect towards the end.
And they inform other parts of the movie.
Yes,
Right.
and they tell you what's happening from other points of view. So I'm going to start with you. I'm dying to know, what did you think of this movie that you just heard of?
So the first act, I'm watching this and I'm going, shit is bullshit. I don't want to watch this fucking thing. This movie seems so cheap and whatever. Then the second act starts with dude in Vegas, British guy, and I'm figuring out what's going on. And then Taye Diggs is in it, and the guy from Road Trip is in it.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I'm fully fucking on board with this movie now. And by the end, I was like, this movie is great. I love this fucking movie. I read this on Letterboxd, but it's absolutely true. This movie is the movie that looks and all that with the night. It encapsulates that era, 99.
Yeah.
But looks wise, this movie's so dated and doesn't age well at all in terms of how it looks. Yet it also ages very well in terms of just pure entertainment.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie too.
I'm so
I was
glad.
by the end of this movie, I mean, I couldn't wait for the third act, and then when it's the two gay guys and they're the guys that run over Rana, and they go back, and the line where Jay is like Jay Moore and what's Scott Wolf,
Adam and Zach.
They open the trunk and they're like trying to clear out space, and Jay Moore is just like, it's a Miata.
He's moving things around to fit a body in there. It's a Miata. So
I mean, the whole thing comes together. I mean, even in the second act, when you realize by the end that these two guys from the strip club have the credit card from the British dude, and it's Timothy Oliphant's card,
Yes.
and you're like, oh, fuck.
That's who they're calling. He uses his card at the strip club. Like,
So, I mean, it's just
idiot.
it's written so,
And how that all culminates into them just shoot my arm.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
the
make it
whole
even.
thing, it's just debauchery. And side note, there's plenty of things I can relate to in this movie.
Oh, I bet. I'm sure that's-
rave culture,
Yeah,
partying,
yeah.
high school, Vegas, strip clubs. I mean, the whole thing was just right up my alley, just in a different era. Growing up in the 90s, I recognized all these faces. So, yeah, I mean, good stuff. Really good stuff.
One of the things that I love about this movie is that, like, there's no real character arcs in this movie. Like, or there's no consequences to what happens.
Yes.
Like, Sarah
Yes.
Polley becomes a drug dealer, and then she just goes on with her life. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. She's like, listen, I got to get this money. I'll do a drug deal. I'll fucking, go and steal a bunch of, medicine and play it off as ecstasy. I'll sell it, make my fucking money back. Oh, I'll go to the hospital because I got hit with a car. and I'll just go on with my life, and that's
I
it.
just
Like
walk
nothing,
around the supermarket with a limp now.
Yeah, like nothing changes in her life besides that she paid her rent.
Well, the whole thing he's tapping into, like, do crazy shit while you're young. You'll get away with it. Don't waste your time, you know. And he did. The guy John August talks about. He wanted to write a crazy adventure, but where the kids really don't learn anything and there's no consequences, and everybody makes bad choices in this movie that just makes things worse. They have chances multiple times to de-escalate.
That shrimp.
Yeah. And they don't. They make it worse. Fucking Simon with the gun just makes it worse.
My favorite character in the whole movie is the guy who takes 2 tabs of ecstasy and then just
her friend, he's tripping the whole time. What was his name? Andrew?
Yeah, and then they tell him to hide, and then they just forget about him. Yeah, no one goes back to get him.
That was great. I mean, the stuff with what's that cop's? Who's that cop played by again?
William Fichtner.
Burke. And they have the 2 guys, celebrity gay guys over, and they end up having. You think they're going to try to have this wild sex party?
Yes.
And it's really just to rope them into a pyramid scheme.
He's like, you want us to sell Amway? And he's like, it's called Confederated Products. It's a lot better company. And he's like, the way he's open to new things, he's just standing there buck naked. He's like, look at this. Feel my skin. Feel this lotion. It's amazing. Just
the whole thing. I mean, it's just written so ridiculous, yet so well. And so you're just so enthralled by how this story is all going to wrap up with all these 3. Personally, and I know this might sound blasphemous, Imran. I like it better than Pulp Fiction.
So, okay, hold on. Here's the thing. Ever since
I know it's inspired by Pulp Fiction, and the dialogue probably isn't as good, but I just found it way more entertaining.
Well, ever since this movie came out,
I love this movie.
I have loved this movie. Yes, it reminds me of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and True Romance, but it's funnier, it's younger, it's more grounded, and if anything, out of all the copycats that Tarantino inspired, this is how you do a successful Tarantino copycat. It is a drug-fueled roller coaster ride.
This is a movie that Quentin Tarantino would never have made.
Exactly.
Right? He would never make a movie about 90s
not about these
pop
characters.
culture, like teenagers. He would never fucking lower himself to do that. So someone had to do it, and it was Doug Liman. And Doug Liman knows all about California. He knows all about fucking people and what's going on in the culture. He was very hip to that with swingers. He was fucking right on the money with this, and it did catch the vibe of the time where everybody was going to raves, and there was underground raves.
The
and
LA rave culture was
the whole
huge.
EDM thing got kicked off in the 90s like that. So, the drugs, the ecstasy, all that stuff was popping then. So big ups to him for like putting a spotlight on it and now making basically a diary of that era of what it was like.
It's a great snapshot. Yeah.
And the only thing that's kind of weird is this British dude out of nowhere.
Simon. Well, I mean, there's even in like living in New York, you always have these international dudes who come and they move there and they just end up staying.
And then the other thing I thought was funny is that none of the guys that were friends should have been friends. Like, I can't see Tay Diggs hanging out with any of these guys.
Guys. Oh my God, the conversation where he calls himself the N-word and he's like, my mother's mother was black. He's like, this ain't Roots, motherfucker. This doesn't matter. It's so Tarantino. You know, they're talking about family circus, why it sucks. Like, it's so Tarantino.
I love the whole thing where he's talking about a girl blowing him and the contact.
He's like, that never happened.
Like,
that's my story.
That's my story.
I told that story a year ago.
That is like, that's something that's happened in my life.
Oh, shit.
You got to remember who's telling you stories.
And more than one time, by the way.
It's like, motherfucker, that's my story.
I've taken someone else's story and made it mine, or someone has taken my story and made it theirs. And we've caught each other a couple of times doing it.
I really, when I looked up this director, I went, because we reviewed one of his movies, Edge of Tomorrow. Like, this guy directed Edge of Tomorrow?
Yep.
That's a completely different movie than what we just watched. Just the evolution of being a director. I was like, wow, this guy...
He wanted to make some money.
This.
I mean, the editing is great.
He wanted to get paid.
I guess so.
He was behind the camera for a lot of these shoots. They did not have a lot of time. It was, like I said...
this movie seems like it was made in like 2 weeks.
Yes. But Ruggs, you said it's unpolished, but it's super confident. Like the dialogue is great. The visuals, it's entertaining all the way through, I think. Even though you were kind of bored in the beginning. I think this movie's never boring.
It wasn't that I was just like, this movie is just cheap. It going? I was just like, this movie's cheap. Like this movie, what am I watching here? This movie my first impression was this movie looks like shit. What am I doing here? There's nothing going on.
Low budget
and then once the second act starts, I go, oh, well, I know what's going on.
Listen, after watching Kevin Smith films, right?
Yeah.
Like Kevin Smith, he didn't have a lot of money, and he made movies that were all dialogue heavy, and the camera work was horrid. Like, I mean, I remember being in the theater seeing Chasing Amy, and we're like, everybody just sitting there, cut to something. You've been on this shot for like 10 minutes. It's like, come on, another angle, something to fucking the eye move. And so I was already like used to like this indie thing where like just it looked terrible. So he was like a step up. And so I didn't feel that way when I saw this. I was like, oh, okay, it is a low budget movie, but it's a step up from Kevin Smith, and I've been subjected to a lot of his films. So I was kind of a little bit more open to it, but it does even if you go in with that thought and it still grabbed you by the end, I think it did its job, and it's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a crazy ride of a movie all the way through. It's it's a teen movie, it's a heist movie, it's kind of a road trip movie, it's a Christmas comedy. All happens at Christmas.
I love that he's fucking the two girls and it catches on fire and he just leaves. He just leaves.
All naked.
He doesn't even care. He just like lets them fucking burn.
Tantric sex tantra, baby.
Yeah, oh my God. So
it's just such a ridiculous. I mean the Taye Diggs being in it, I was like, what the fuck is he doing in
this?
This
is
movie?
Before The Hangover.
Yeah.
This is before that movie.
Yeah.
I think that one little scene is what inspired The Hangover.
I could relate to stuff like Tim Oliphant's drug dealer character. While I can relate to many
different aspects of this movie. I mean,
Anthony's been every one of these characters.
I literally have walked into a fine establishment like there were in Vegas and told my friend, do not get champagne, and the first thing he does is get champagne because he gets enthralled by a girl that he sees. Yeah, literally, that is so true to any rookie that walks into a place like that.
And then Simon can't help himself, has to grab him.
Then that happens all the time.
And then he makes it worse by pulling a fucking gun out. What are you doing?
Well, and you gotta love, even like back then they're making the comments on just subtle comments on racism with the guy giving the guy Taye Diggs a couple dollars in the bathroom, and then the guy flipping him his keys. He's like, "Yeah, take it out back.
Let's go." And they get a nice
fuck
ride.
This, I'm taking this for a ride.
It's great. I'm taking this for a ride. Yeah, it's like I'm not a bathroom attendant.
Well, I mean, because Taye Diggs' outfit, he's wearing this like ridiculous Vegas. But in Vegas, you see people, even including myself, wearing outfits that you just would never wear anywhere else.
There used to be this store called Oak Tree.
Yeah,
in the mall. Where you would buy mustard yellow fucking suit jackets. Like you would come out looking like the fucking Joker. And that was cool back then.
And I love that moment where they go back and they show you Adam and Zach's story with Rana there, and then you see him mouth the words "go" when he's showing her the bathroom. I was like, oh fuck, that's so good because he did that before.
Have any of you guys seen Girl Next Door?
Oh, yeah, with Elisha Cuthbert.
Yeah, Timothy Oliphant plays basically the same guy.
He's the pimp.
5 years earlier in that movie.
That was 5 years earlier. Yeah, he was making the adult movie. He was like the pimp in that one. So
he had a super menacing, like you're like, oh, that's Timothy Oliphant. He's kind of funny. And then he just turns on you and go, oh my God, this guy's really menacing.
Well, he's great in this too because he is like kind of charming. And in fact, Katie Holmes' Claire kind of falls for him. And she's, what's funny about her is she's the one that doesn't do any drugs, and things kind of work out for her at the end, and everyone else gets all fucked. And I love at the end when their buddy's like, so what are we doing for New Year's after this fucking crazy night at Christmas? I love this movie, and I loved watching it again.
It was a fun time. It's a fun time. Not a perfect film by any means. No. A little rough around the edges.
But the energy, the fucking storytelling,
the soundtrack's great. I bought the soundtrack right away.
The soundtrack. Remember, the song Anthony Steal My Sunshine by Len?
I think I'd have to re-listen to it.
That's when they get the car. That was the car.
That was like the big song when this movie came out, when the soundtrack came out. But the beauty of Doug Liman, working with what Tarantino had left is that Tarantino got audiences used to restarting your movie, restarting your story. So he just does 3 resets and so cleverly winds builds on each one and gives you more.
I don't know. Pulp Fiction definitely opened the door for studios to be like, yeah, let's make this movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that people have written movies like this before, but they always get shut down because it's like, oh, people are not going to follow.
They're not going to get it. Yes.
Yeah, but I think Tarantino just stuck to his guns, put his movie out, and then that opened wide for shit like this.
After Pulp Fiction, it became kind of commonplace in mainstream.
Magnolia, we just saw it.
It almost became conventional. So many people were doing it that you just fuck up your narrative storyline. Like that's the thing you do now. And nobody does it as good as he does it here. It's a great Tarantino copy. Like one of the best.
It's structured. It's structured.
Yes.
It's like Tarantino's had a very strange structure. It was like all over the place.
Yeah.
This was, 3 acts, and they went into succession, I guess, according to
same starting point, and then you just follow a different character.
Yeah. So it was unique in that way. But like Magnolia did the whole thing where they intertwined all the stories.
Yeah.
And then, so there was a lot of this experimentation going on with what you could do script wise. And it was just an interesting year, man. I just love this year. It's so good.
It's so crazy. The wide variety of original crazy movies. Him fucking tripping in the grocery store and dancing with that lady is great. Like,
oh yeah.
And then they left him there.
Speaking for some of my friends, maybe. I mean, me personally never partake, but that's a very true experience like I had on Ecstasy. The way he was feeling is very true as far as how you would feel and how you would react and how you would look in comparison to everyone else. I mean, the sweating right away, I was like, oh my God, they got it right.
Just the lights, and every time he's like trying to find her and you can't focus on anything.
And you think the cat is talking to you and you just space out. Yeah, I mean, it's and right off the bat, he's like, the Oliphant's character's like, these are real strong, 1 per person, and the dude pops 2.
Yeah, it's like, you took one, didn't you? And the balls to her to rip off a drug dealer. This is just not a good idea in general. And I love these kind of exaggerated drug dealer characters because I've known people like that, but he's a little bit exaggerated, but
definitely exaggerated.
But I've known people very similar to that also, but he's very charming, Tim Oliphant. This fucking movie is great. Okay, let's get sexy now as we move on to the final movie.
The weirdest movie of the bunch.
Of 1999, movie number 12, Eyes Wide Shut.
Also showed up, by the way, on the 99 Mindfuck movie.
Oh, it is a Mindfuck movie? I can see that. Yes, I can see that. Rotten Tomatoes, 75%. 7.5 out of 10. This is a weird case where the average rating matches exactly the Rotten Tomatoes score. I don't know what that means. The budget of this movie was $65 million. It goes on to make $162 million. This is a very long movie. It's over 2.5 hours. And, for the last 11 movies, we've been talking about up-and-coming directors, a lot of first-time debuts, a lot of guys who are just starting their career. Here we have in 99, a case of established old school Stanley Kubrick, who co-wrote, directed, and produced this, basing it on a 1926 novella called Traum Novelle by Arthur Schnitzler, that the book took place in early 20th century Vienna. He changes the story to 1990s New York City. However, this is why I learned some crazy shit. Stanley Kubrick had a fear of flying. This movie was mostly shot in the United Kingdom. Apart from some exterior establishing shots, they recreated a detailed recreation of the exterior Greenwich Village street in the studio. The movie also has a Guinness World Record for the longest continuous film shoot ever at 400 days.
Oh, shit.
And quote, it says, for over 15 months, a period that included an unbroken shoot of 46 weeks. He started shooting this in 1996 and wasn't finished until 1998. And Stanley Kubrick passes away 6 days after showing his final cut to Warner Brothers, making this the final film he directed. To get this to an R rating in the US, they had to digitally alter a lot of the orgy scenes, which we'll talk about. You can kind of tell during post-production. But this was, at the time, so highly anticipated. This was his first movie in 12 years, I believe, since Full Metal Jacket, and he shot this entirely in secret. Nobody knew what it was. All they knew that it was a sexy erotic thriller featuring real-life married couple Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, only the two of the biggest stars in the world. Also, we have Sidney Pollack in here as Victor Ziegler. Lily Sobieski I forgot she was in this, and some other people. But the main is really Cruise and Kidman carrying this movie.
I mean, the posters, Cruise, Kidman, Kubrick.
Yes,
yeah.
Build, because he kind of talked them in to doing this really personal, intimate movie. This movie did not get any Academy Award nominations at all.
Good.
Anthony, have you seen this before?
I seen it as a kid when I was way too young.
You were
when
probably
I saw it.
confused as fuck. Watching it
Very
now.
confused and weirdly turned on.
Yes, I bet
weirdly
you are.
not knowing what that meant to be
Why
turned
does my
on.
pee-pee feel weird? What happens in Eyes Wide Shut?
Eyes Wide Shut is about this New York couple that seemingly has all their shit together. One guy's a doctor. The woman, played by Nicole Kidman, is I think a stay-at-home mom or wife. They have all their shit together, but they go to a party, they see each other flirting, and they end up having a conversation when they're high on pot. And Nicole Kidman's character admits to Tom Cruise that she's thought about cheating on him, and this just rocks his fucking world. And he just goes out and decides he's going to go out and just explore the depths of what nighttime in New York City looks like, and he gets involved with a hooker. He meets an old friend from college that turns him on to a sex cult, and his life is just forever changed by this night, and we just follow him on this journey throughout the night.
And watching it again now, 20 years later, what did you think? Does it hold up? Is it still relevant?
Relevant. So I watched this movie again. First time I really didn't. My opinion on it was not anything to speak home about or write home about. Now, I found this movie to be very interesting. It's a long movie. It's not for everybody, obviously. I found it to be interesting. I was intrigued by the journey. Obviously, the whole sex cult is the big thing that everyone knows this movie about. But I just kind of found it interesting, the whole journey of getting your world rocked by your partner that admits to you that she thinks about cheating on you. And just that, because that's relatable. It's like if you've ever been in a relationship and someone would admit that to you, I think that would rock anyone's world. And you'd go out and maybe not go to the extreme he's went, but he's basically looking to go out and cheat and figure and sow that wild oat because his wife has given him basically permission to do that. And he just gets caught up in this weird fucking cult. So I found the movie to be very interesting. I don't think it's the best out of what we're talking about. It's not going to be my favorite, but I still think it's good. And I still think there's a lot of very interesting stuff. And the cinematography and especially the soundtrack with the one key on the piano is just super melody. Fucking creepy.
It's very creepy.
And you can't beat the fact that there's a lot of gorgeous women with great boobs.
Lots of boobies in this movie. For anyone who doesn't know, I didn't go over Stanley Kubrick's film credits, but fuck, if you're listening to this, I imagine he directed.
By the way, first, I think it's the only Stanley Kubrick movie I've seen.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Doctor Strangelove. He does Spartacus. I mean, those are heavy hitting. Barry Lyndon. Those are all his heavy hitting movies. You definitely should watch Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, 2001, Doctor Strangelove. He does the Lolita. Ruggs. What did you think of this movie? And it does.
Well, I do think this movie's interesting. I do think that there is, you should watch this movie. But I don't understand Stanley Kubrick at this stage in his life having to do this for 400 days.
Yeah.
There's nothing in this film, performance-wise, that needed that. Like, I think the best acting is actually maybe when Nicole Kidman is dancing with the weird
Hungarian
old, and everything else in this movie, as far as acting wise, is not that great. So why is he trying to torture his actors to give a performance where Magnolia Tom Cruise is way better in that? And I've seen better performances from Nicole Kidman. So whatever his technique was, I don't think it worked.
Well, you know, his typical technique is to do 100 takes of something. He likes to break them down so it's a genuine read or genuine performance.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
Guess what? It wasn't. I don't think that the acting performances, like when they were pretending to be smoking pot, that's not how you act when you smoke pot.
No, it isn't.
No. So, I mean, obviously there's a disconnect between what he thinks it should look like and what it is. And, you know, we just watched a drug-fueled movie that nailed it. So I think that there's a problem with the acting, like his direction of the acting, him doing this 1,000 takes. I don't think it served this film. But saying that, getting that out of the way, getting that big criticism out of the way, I feel like that the script of this movie, the underpinnings of this movie are interesting, because what happens is you kind of get the sense that Tom Cruise, not a cheater, right?
No.
I don't think he really even considers cheating. And I think that he does love his wife, and he makes love to her like every night. All right. She's tired. She's bored. She wants to cheat on him. And that rocks his world because he didn't think of it. Like, even though he knows that men, they had this conversation about men.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, well, this guy definitely wanted to fuck you because, you know, all guys want to fuck hot girls and you're a hot girl. And so she's like, well, by that logic, that means every hot girl that you meet, you want to fuck. And that, I don't think that applies to him.
No.
I don't think that.
She twists his words.
Yeah, she twists his words. It basically says, like, the guy's like asking you to dance. He's asking you to go upstairs. He obviously wants to fuck you. So there's that leap in logic is not that crazy. But these girls who accosted Tom Cruise at the party, he was clearly trying to
flirting.
He was flirting, but he was clearly like not really. He was wondering where they were taking him and what was going to happen. If he was interrupted, would he have fucked those girls? Do you think he would have tried to?
He just goes along with everything in this movie. He's like, okay, let's do this.
Well, he goes to a point. He goes to a prostitute, doesn't even fuck her.
Well, so there's a couple of things that I found. Part of me found unbelievable.
He doesn't get laid at all,
no,
right?
he doesn't.
No.
And that's the kind of hilarious as a guy. He's pretty much playing himself. A guy who's good looking and has stature and status can't fucking get laid. Two things I found a little.
He chooses not to.
He chooses
That's the
not
difference.
to. Two things I found a little weird, unbelievable. One was what you just said is, was he he was so oblivious to the fact he never considered that guys want to fuck his wife, that she would think about like.
No, I don't think it's that. He's not. He's the one that suggests that. He's oblivious to the fact that his wife would ever cheat on him or has thought about it.
No, but she just thinks about it, and he almost goes and does something, and she just thinking about it.
Now, what's the theory of that you think that that his wife was at the party?
Oh, holy shit!
Oh,
she
shit.
describes her dream in detail
That
of
was
what he
weird.
was doing.
And the mask was there at the
Did
end.
he lose the mask, or what happened?
I never thought of that. I didn't make that connection.
That part was weird when her dream is exactly the party he went to. I was like, what the fuck does this mean? But overall, I love the creepy, tense vibe. Like you said, the minimal piano. A lot of it reminded me of The Shining and the tension and creepiness of The Shining. But it's a hypnotic movie. It's odd. It's unsettling.
Let me ask you guys about that cult.
Yes.
Do you believe what the doctor ends up telling him, that was all a charade and it's really just a big cover up for basically an Epstein sex island type thing? Or do you think it was actually a cult and they were threatening people's lives?
Oh, definitely.
I think the doctor was lying.
He was definitely lying.
Okay.
Well, you can't trust him. He's already lying to everybody already. He's trying to fuck this girl.
Yeah.
And had him cover up. He tells him to cover up for him. So you can't trust that guy.
They gave Bill lots of chances to get out without getting in trouble.
Now let's ask a question. Do you think that guy was at the sex party? He was at. Who do you think he was at the sex party?
Ziegler was there. He says, I saw you. I was in there.
Do you think he was the guy with the big beak?
I don't know. But the girl.
Remember the first guy that sees him?
Oh.
Right? Remember the first guy that sees him with the girl? He's with a girl?
He nods to him. Yeah, with the white mask.
I think that was him.
Didn't put that
so
much
then
thought into
the
who it
girl
was.
that tries to save him there was the same girl from the beginning, right?
It's the same girl.
The girl
yeah.
that he saved. The process.
It's the girl that he saved. Although I looked it up, it's a different body.
Different body, but it was supposed to be her. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually took it at face value, and I thought the doctor was telling.
Do you think his
telling the truth.
piano player buddy is also dead? They probably knocked him off too.
No, the doctor said that they sent him back. I do believe that it's just they were trying to play it up, this big cult, but it's really all these just fucking politicians and actors that you never want to expose.
Oh, right. I mean, but it reminded me of the Jeffrey Epstein thing now, and I think
absolutely.
these fucking Illuminati cult things exist, and I had friends, it's not quite like this. I remember a bunch of my friends, they would go to these naked parties, and it was just like a house party, and everyone was naked, and whatever happened. And,
well, there are swingers that have like swinger parties. I remember the episode of What We Do in the Shadows, that vampire show.
Yeah.
They when they had to throw an orgy, and it was funny because after watching that and then watching this, it's funny because like they have to get the perfect setting for the orgy, and they have to make sure that they have couches to fuck on and all of these things. So it's like there are swingers, there's orgies, there's all these places in here. There's a whole subculture of people that do this shit.
What do you?
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask. I mean, Kubrick's obviously a legendary director, and there's a lot to talk about in this movie. What do you think he was trying to get across, if anything?
He was trying to get across that the fact that I feel like that women have played this role of being like this, the more moral and ethical of the two sexes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just normal people like we are, and all the stupid shit that we think about, all the dumb fucking weird shit that we do, they absolutely do as well. They jerk off
but
too.
men
like,
don't
they do
realize
everything.
that women have these thoughts.
We don't want to believe that, and we want to like. So he kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront. Like, yes, your wife is probably jerking off in the shower too. Your wife is probably, when you're not around, looking at her phone at some porn and whatever. So. That's kind of like some guys might not be able to deal with that because guys are very territorial about their women, and it's baked in from like primitive stuff. But like you get a reaction, it's a primitive reaction to that, so it plays on those things.
But then he takes that. So this is what initially fascinated me: the layer of this story, and then him using Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman and putting them in this very intimate, personal, complex story about marriage and sexuality. Are they talking about their own marriage? Is this just in the movie? He did things like, so the scenes where Bill imagines his wife having sex with that guy over and over again. I also kind of felt that Bill, that turned him on a little bit to watch her, but he got obsessed with it. Kubrick separated these two. He shot those scenes with Nicole, and he made sure Tom was not allowed on the set, and vice versa when he did the Tom scenes, to kind of create this setting of jealousy and weirdness. But this movie fucked up Tom Cruise. 2 years later, Cruise and Kidman filed for divorce. Oh, this button. And after this in Magnolia, Tom Cruise has never turned himself over to an auteur director again. If you think about it, he's just done big budget action blockbusters and comedic cameos. This kind of soured him, the backlash and the response, because it didn't make a lot of money, and at the time, any movie Cruise was in was guaranteed to make a lot of money because he had Tom Cruise, and it was not a box office success. So there's so many layers to this.
I mean, this movie, on its surface, you would think this is like an erotic thriller.
Yeah, but it's not really.
But it's not.
It was sold. So that's why a lot of people didn't like it. They thought they were going to go see Sexy Time, erotic thriller with Tom and Nicole, and that's not really what you get. No, it's not what you get, and it's really about this man's journey to find out what's true for him sexually, and if he can do the deed, right?
Yeah.
Like, she prompts him to think about it, and then he's off trying to figure out if he can do it. Can he do it with someone else? And obviously, he comes to the conclusion forcefully that he cannot. He can't cheat on his wife. Yeah, they shoehorn that HIV thing that seems a little dated now, too, as if to say, like, she was a degenerate and he dodged a bullet because she had HIV. Well, she's a prostitute. Well, she was. I'm wondering if she was at the party I don't know. Also,
I think that she might have been one of the girls.
I think she might have been at the party. I love the lighting in this movie where he's using cool and warm backlighting, and everything is lit by Christmas lights, just like Go. I think Christmas, the setting, is an important part of this movie because you have symbolism with Christmas trees, which are everywhere except at the party. And it's also like Christmas consumerism. And then masks are another big theme. It's like the masks were very Venetian, like you have at Carnival. Is that the main symbol of the movie? You notice the prostitute, her name was Domino, like the mask. She had masks in her apartment.
I mean, this is already, a touchy, dark subject with the sex cult, but then you throw in the stuff with Lily Sobieski, and then the dude
pimping out his daughter,
and then he's pimping out his 16-year-old daughter. Oh my God!
I mean,
with these two Asian schmucks.
Also, I voyeuristically, I loved like being in these rich people's lives. Their apartment was just gorgeous, and Kubrick does these long takes.
That's got to be compared to what Matthew Broderick was living in. That's got to be a very expensive place.
We didn't even mention that he went to a dead guy's apartment and the daughter threw himself.
Oh yeah, and then she loves him. She's like, I love you. So he's these.
Oh yeah.
So basically, all these things are just being thrown at him, and he's kind of like going with it.
He's being thrown sex, but like not in the way he would normally consume sex. Right? He'd do it romantically with his wife, but it's being thrown at him with an underage prostitute or with a dead guy next to him or in a sex cult. Like he's not getting it the way he would normally consume it.
I also think the movie is a lot about complicity and compliance, about power and people abusing power and how people just let them abuse power. It brings up like the Me Too thing and Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton kind of thing is they're just they let them abuse that power and they're kind of in that. The other thing, again, fascinating, mixing life and reality and art, mirroring life. When Bill is taunted by those guys on the street with the homophobic slurs, which were like super brutal, and I was like, Jesus Christ, these people, they threw out every cliche homophobic slur you could all at once. Tom Cruise's sexuality at this time also being called into question.
Oh, shit.
Tabloids were saying his and Nicole Kidman's marriage was an arrangement. And I think part of this was Cruise trying to show people who he was.
And then Tom Cruise married Katie Holmes.
Yes, and then Tom Cruise married. Is he still married to Katie Holmes? They have kids.
Yeah, they have shy.
There's lots of naked and scantily clad Nicole Kidman. She looks great in the movie. But you see Stanley Kubrick's precision and how he's deliberate in his every choice he makes. But then there's some like weird things like. There's clunky voiceover, like to help the viewer remember. Remember, he pulls the girl out the drawer, and then you hear her voice.
What drawer?
At the morgue, pulls the prostitute out, and then there are times when you hear this voiceover to remind us who this character is, and I'm like, I don't know if that's necessary. The other thing you could bring into question is this: did the studio compromise his vision? He delivered a final cut before he died, but he's been known to tinker with the movie up until the time it's released. And I don't know if he would have been happy with the choice to cover up those orgy scenes. Did you notice how every couple in the orgy, there's like this one dude in black standing right in front of them?
There's a guy strategically placed, so you can't see him.
I noticed then because I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, this is very raunchy. And then I saw it when I watched it the other day. I went, there's something off.
So this was.
So then I found the unedited version.
This is
just to watch.
This is a decision made by Warner Brothers post him dying. I don't know. He probably would have been like, keep it NC-17 or don't change it. But they needed to do that.
Did you guys see it in the aspect ratio that it was released in the square?
Yeah,
version?
it showed it in square.
I don't know if I noticed.
Yeah, it said in the beginning this movie's being shown in its original, like what the Kubrick intended. And it was a square, not a letterbox. Yeah. But, man, I also think it kind of predicted, like, conspiracy theory era that's happening now. Like, with the Illuminati and all these kind of twists. I know there was some back then, but it really blew up in the 2000s.
Well, listen, like, right now we're in this thing where this woman who's got all the dirt on Epstein.
Ghislaine.
She's, they're going to take her to court and give her a day in court to figure out what's going on. But, she her house was paid for by some corporation that they don't even know what it is, some shell company. She's got millions of dollars that she never earned. She didn't even have a job, really. She had no official job. How did she get all this money and all these accounts? There's shenanigans going on. There's a fucking Illuminati, some kind of bullshit going on. And she was providing services that it's very much like this movie.
Yes.
Where they would go and fuck the shit out of these girls. And they had an island for it, you know.
I have this Facebook friend from high school who runs a media company now, and she does interviews, and she recently posted a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's like, this is the woman who hired me to interview Epstein, and there was nobody else there. I was in the room alone, and Epstein was wearing nothing but a bathrobe, and she's like, I was one of the lucky ones, but yeah, this woman is a fucking pimp who was just, you know, getting people for him. So a lot of similarities to fucking Eyes Wide Shut. What do you think the title means?
I think it's what I was saying before. I think that men have this belief that women are more chaste and more ethical and more moral than they are. And it's, you know, but they're just as fucked up as we are. And he had his eyes wide shut before.
It's right in the front of you, but you don't want to see it. You don't see it.
And now he realizes that, like, yeah, his wife has got a wandering eye too. And his wife is capable of doing anything a man can do. And so his eyes are open.
This is the other thing I didn't like is how it ended. I thought it was very weird, and like it ends almost too neatly wrapped up where they're like, oh, we made it through this, now we just gotta fuck. Like the ending was very.
What would you want it?
I don't know. Not that. It shouldn't be. It should be left open to whether these people are actually gonna make it.
Well, so what happens? Okay, so the guy,
they're in the toy
guy
store.
finds out. So he crossed the line where he kissed the girl, right? The prostitute's friend.
Oh, he did kiss her.
Did he kiss her? No, he was filling her up. I don't know if he kissed her.
They're close.
I think there
was one kiss. Her friend. Yes,
it was inappropriate either way. But he didn't go in the carnal sense. He didn't fuck anybody. No. He kind of every single opportunity he had to fuck somebody, he didn't take it. So I think that it was his like a gauntlet that he had to run through, and he made it through. I think that when she told him about the dream, he realized that she might have been there.
Well, I almost saw this movie going another way when they keep showing him thinking about his wife fucking that guy. I almost thought the movie would be like he would go to her and say, I found this party, and it kind of turns me on to thinking he was someone else. Let's both sneak into this party because this is what you want. This is what I want. But that didn't happen. I thought he took her to the party. I completely misremembered this movie.
I almost think that I want to imagine she was at the party.
Fuck.
She was at the party.
It did not occurred to me.
And that she cheated on him. And she did not. She basically did what Tom Cruise could not have done.
Maybe I interpreted it as that ending as he ran through the gauntlet. He proved that he still loves her. He had to tell her that because he needed to get off his chest what she had basically done to him and what basically caused this whole night to happen for him. And then when she says "let's fuck" or "we have to fuck," it's basically like, well, you've had a whole night where you were thinking about sex, so the only way to really figure out if we love each other still is we got to have sex. We got to figure out if it's still going to be the same.
Interesting. Yeah.
I wish that they would have had.
It's a weird
like
ending.
they just seemed it seemed like they had this great relationship because I mean they were both flirting, but they were using it to fuel their sexual life. So they would flirt and get all hot and bothered, and then go fuck. And later on in the night, that's what they did, right? So I thought that was just fine. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's healthy, but like I feel like that maybe in their world that was what they did. But then it takes a weird turn when she makes this confession, and I just thought it was odd that of course that she thinks about fucking. She's dancing with a dude, But I don't know. So,
it's a weird, odd, unsettling. Is this a misunderstood masterpiece or no?
I mean, it's got the makings of a masterpiece. I just think that it falls a little bit short.
Yeah, it's not his best.
There's I could hear an argument for it, but I personally wouldn't consider it a masterpiece. There's not a lot. There's not, as Roboy mentioned, there's not like a great performance in this. The writing is intriguing, but you kind of really get there's not like one takeaway, and it's not. I don't know. For me, it's just a little too off for it to be. It's not palatable enough for enough people where it may be like, okay, I could see what was happening.
It is a slow, laborious pace of a movie, and you just kind of have to let it ride. The Alan Cumming scene, he has a cameo, was kind of funny where he's. You know what's interesting is everyone Bill meets wants to fuck him. Did you notice that in this movie? Everybody he meets is just throwing himself at him, and he can't fucking get laid. And it was hilarious the way he kept telling everyone he's a doctor, as if that validated him being there. And, just listen to me. I'm a doctor. See here? I'm a doctor. It's okay.
Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor.
Damn it, Jim. All right, man. That is the last 12th movie from 1999. Oh, one final thought. They should remake this movie today with Will and Jada Smith.
Did you see that?
Yes.
By the way?
Oh, my God.
Did you see that, Anthony?
I watched a clip here or there, but I'm not. I know that she admitted to an entanglement. With August Alsina.
I mean, talk about these Cruz and
so
Kidman
strange.
doing this and then
describe it to our viewers or listeners who did not see this.
So Will and Jada had sat down across it was called a red table interview.
So basically, it gets out that Jada had some kind of like
they were
fling.
They were
with some
still
guy.
married, but they wanted to give each other space. And she goes, "I did have an entanglement." And Will's like,
so she made Will Smith do this like interview, like it looked like he was out of gunpoint.
Oh my God, he looked so hurt. He's like, "That's an affair. Call it what it is." He's like, "She's the word entanglement." I was like, "Oh my God, this is fucking Eyes Wide Shut right here." That was amazing though to see these people, Will and Jada, so public, have to have this conversation in a public forum.
But she wasn't giving. Look, I feel like that Will was trying to get the truth out there, and she kept on walking it back, and like being more shrouded in secrecy. So
I felt bad for Will in that.
So the whole point of this red table thing is supposed to be truthful and honest and let it fly, and she wasn't doing that.
I think personally, I think that the whole thing is stupid, and they should have that conversation behind closed doors. Don't fucking film it.
Right?
Your dirty laundry.
That's crazy. Why are you having this conversation?
Because
on television?
they want the likes, they want the clout.
I think it's a disgusting way to gain that kind of attention.
That's Kardashian logic.
It is Kardashian level publicity stunt.
You would think Will Smith, who's old school, and we know, even though we've been around Will Smith for 20 plus 30 years, and we think we know him, we don't know anything about him, but I had this perception that he was just more of he was a step above something like that, something to just gain attention and just be shock value.
Who
TV.
talked him into that? Fuck. Maybe he's a guy that rapped and never used curse words. Yeah.
He's very selective about the movies he does. It just seemed disgusting. The whole thing I've heard about it seems disgusting.
I don't know how they got talked into that, but
this is the world that we live in.
It was
now.
wild to watch. It was just shocking. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, that's just car crash TV.
It is.
I know it's fun to like see celebrities and see like they cheat too, but what the fuck is this? This
Are
is
you
stupid.
airing your dirty laundry to get fucking likes?
I think they want to like try and normalize the fact that people cheat on each other. And listen, everybody knows that being faithful is a really hard thing to do. And especially if you're good looking and you have like people that are throwing themselves at you and stuff like that, or it's really just easy for you to do, or you're a fucking sex addict, all these different reasons. So I just think that we all know that this is hard and we all know that it's fucking thing. We don't need to see it. We don't need to see your lives unravel.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Sad. All right. So wrapping up before we rank these, any other comments about similar themes across all these movies?
When we're talking about Ripley and election, there is the correlation of social climbing.
Yes.
So Ripley is a social climber, and so is Flick.
Yeah.
So Tracy Flick is also, she's the type of person that will do whatever she has. She's a sociopath in her own
She
way.
kind of is. Absolutely.
So they do have that common thread as well.
And almost all of these movies are about identity in some form, which I thought was very interesting theme.
Yeah, no, I mean, all these movies are still kind of about searching for purpose and meaning in life. So, I mean, they all have a very, an overarching theme of what we were talking about with the past 8 movies.
And they're all
especially these
good.
4. That these are very compelling and gripping films. They're like they kind of grab you, and you're along for the ride the whole time. So that's a credit to these four. I think that and they were not the most popular.
That's true. They're
right?
they're all kind of
even
a fun
these
ride.
even these kind of like off the beaten path movies are still very good.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, all 12 of these movies have been amazing. All right, out of this four, Anthony, give us. Let's do the rank. Where would you put these four in your favorites?
So this one's pretty much the toughest one for me to rank. I'm going to say this, but I'm not confident in these rankings. I think I could switch these at any moment. I would have last Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay,
out of the four.
Yeah,
I would go with Go being third.
Okay,
Election being 2, and Talented Mr. Ripley being number 1.
Well, interesting.
But those top 3 I could interchange at any point.
They're very close. Yeah, that was hard. It took me a while. Ruggs, where would you put these four?
I'm like mirroring Anthony for the first time.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Oh shit!
Because I feel like Eyes Wide Shut is the weakest, because of the acting and the fact that it's kind of like opaque still. Like I still can't really. There's no clarity to what exactly.
But it's dreamlike, and it's kind of meant to be that dreamlike.
But I do think that for all of the 400 days of shooting, we should have gotten
a little bit more. Yes.
Yeah. And the fact that it's 2.5 hours long, we should have gotten some clarity. Yeah. But I do like that film. But out of these four, I like it the least. And then what Anthony said, I probably would put Election first, and then Go third, and Ripley second. Yeah.
Election, Ripley, Go, Eyes Wide Shut.
I had Mr. Ripley 1, but I could definitely make an argument for Election going number 1.
My favorite out of these, I'm putting at number 1, Go.
Of course.
Because that's my fucking movie. But second, I'm going to put Ripley, and then Election, and then Eyes Wide Shut. I do agree that Eyes Wide Shut should be at the bottom.
I do. I just want to throw in, I want to make it clear, unlike last week where I clearly didn't, for the most part, didn't like Magnolia. Right. I liked all four of these films, even Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay. Yeah, they are, like you said, compelling, interesting rides of movies.
You can't really go wrong.
Fuck. Man, that's been quite a journey through 1999. I love doing it. I think we're going to stop here. 12 is enough.
Yeah, 12's enough for now.
It was a lot, but it was a lot of fun.
Do you have any 1999 movies that you just want to throw out for guys like to watch? You think? Let's
I think we mentioned a lot of them in the first episode when the Nation mentioned a lot of them. I mean, you still have things like The Mummy, which is still a fun movie.
The Mummy, that's the first movie you go with.
That's
Jesus
the one
Christ.
I thought about. You got Cruel Intentions.
Yeah. Varsity Blues.
No one's saying Green Mile.
I would say I like Green Mile a lot. Green Mile's
American Pie.
Good movie for me. American Pie, yeah.
The Blair Witch.
Blair Witch. That's an interesting one.
Man on the Moon. That's the only other real big
Man on the Moon is great. Blair Witch is another one.
Jim Carrey.
I wouldn't mind watching
Boys
again.
Don't Cry, a Oscar-winning performance by Hilary Swank.
Remember Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrel? Guy Ritchie. Two Smoking Barrels. That's not a bad. That's not a bad movie.
Are you guys? I've only heard about this through my 1999 research, but were you guys fans of Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest is a fucking amazing movie. It's so good.
Yes,
that's
it is.
99.
I didn't love it the first time I saw it, but then in the context of realizing what it was and exactly how good it did it, I started to really grow on me.
Yeah, it's a great sci-fi kind of comedy send-up of that genre. It's really
I don't really like comedies that much, so if I like a comedy...
Really?
You son of a bitch.
All the comedies we've reviewed in 99, I think you've liked so far.
Well, they had something else to them besides... Like, I don't like over-the-top, like, stupid, silly stuff that, like, is kind of, like, too easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, like, too easy or too lazy. There's a line, but and a lot of the comedies are like that, and so Galaxy Quest is a little smarter, a little bit more clever, and it's actually kind of like that Orville is trying to be Galaxy Quest.
It is, but yeah.
So and it's doing it well too. So it's taking a comedic look at Star Trek and fandom in general and those tropes and being very, very clever about it. And Kevin Smith does that with the comic book industry a lot. and he does that to a degree, and that's why I kind of enjoy his movies because he does do the same thing. And Galaxy Quest is kind of like another version of that, and so I can get down with a comedy if it's very clever.
If it's clever comedy. There's also the Three Kings, David O. Russell from that era, very good movie. But if we do this again, we'll pick another year.
Yeah. We'll let this rest a little bit and get back to another year.
Exhausted 1999 for now. Let's get to news from the nation.
It's time for news from the nation.
It's time for news from the nation. Every time it gets you, I find that
it does.
That's even funnier.
I like the fart that asks the question. Like,
yeah, it's got to go up at the end. Like, that's an interesting question, Fart. Let's see if we can get an answer. Got just a couple of comments from our last episode. David Zika said, I watched Magnolia when it originally came out on video and didn't like it enough to watch it again. But the big thing at the time was trying to find the hidden hints, clues, and meanings. And there were a lot of hidden things in Magnolia everyone was looking for. And then Jim McPike, remember we were confused about his really smart socio-political comment? Yeah. Well, he's responded. He's like, here's the requested translation on the end of history from, quote, useless major into, quote, human speak. He says, because America won the Cold War, some people in the 90s erroneously believed that our style of government was the final evolution of human society and would soon spread around the world, thus ending, quote unquote, history in the sense of social and political development. I aggressively do not subscribe to this theory and feel recent history has shown it was the fever dream of privileged men high on the scent of their own farts, but it's indicative of where a lot of people were in the 1990s. You get it, Ruggs?
Yeah. I agree with him. I don't think that the way we have it set up is the final way to do it. And, there's a lot of bureaucracy and all that stuff and a lot of corruption. And for them to think at that time that was the end all be all is pretty stupid.
Well, I mean, but you see where these movies about identity and throwing off the shackles have come out of this. And then, he says the fever dream of privileged men high on the scent of their own farts. Like, that's like Eyes Wide Shut. You see a lot of that also in these movies, people wanting to be something they're not, or
it's like it's first world problems, right?
Exactly.
So like if you're like living in fucking squalor in India somewhere where like there's fucking rivers of shit and you're like that's what your life is, and then those problems, getting food, like being treated like a human being and this and that, and actually being treated like a human being. And then you go over here, if someone like microaggresses you, you're like, oh, it's like first world problems. It's like it's a whole different thing that we've gauged about. So now we sit there and we ponder, how can we transcend humanism? How can we transcend like things that are built into our DNA? Like, we have to now either become machines or biogenetically engineer this stuff out of us, or societally engineer this stuff out of us. And I think that that's what he's talking about. He's talking about that we would just be able to do that, which is impossible.
And now we're fucked. So bring on the singularity. Just fucking scrap it all. I, for one, welcome our robot overlords. I am ready to serve you. So that's what's going to happen.
As long as you're not C-3PO.
No, C-3PO.
He's an annoying fuck.
Okay, let's finish off with some What Are We Watching?
Oh, I have one.
What do you got, Rux?
I watched the worst movie.
Oh, excellent.
That's made by a big company that had millions of dollars put into it.
Okay.
And it's called Scoob.
Oh, no.
The Scooby-Doo movie.
Scoob is no good on HBO Max.
Absolute Scooby shit.
It's animated, right?
Big Great Dane steaming shit. And I'll just say that out loud. I mean, look, it's just preposterous. Like, it's so bad. Like, they were trying to make Scooby into like a superhero.
Yeah.
By using Blue Falcon.
Oh.
And they just completely like shit on like the entire, all of the Scooby lore. They integrated it, but they fucking shit on it at the same time.
Scrappy Doo's not in it, is he?
No, he's
fucking
not.
hated Scrappy-Doo.
I mean,
fuck Scrappy-Doo.
I like Scooby-Doo. Do you like Scooby-Doo?
I did. I almost clicked on the movie because there was nothing else new on HBO Max, and I heard good things about Scoob, but I'm glad I didn't. I've always loved Scooby-Doo because they had...
It is horrible.
They had the Harlem Globetrotters and the Three Stooges and Batman and Robin and Don Knotts, or no, Get Smart, Don Adams.
Knotts was
Don
on there.
Knotts
Yeah,
was also on it. The
That's
celebrity cameos in animation.
Mama Cass was on there.
I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you.
Look, I like Scooby-Doo for two reasons. One, it enforced science and deductive logic.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of like Encyclopedia Brown books.
So, like, they would go into this spooky house with a ghost or something, and they would find out it was just a fucking jerk-off with a mask on and, like, demystify the whole thing.
Zoinks!
And so that there was nothing to be afraid of, and science could prove everything in facts and stuff and using your noggin. So I like that aspect about it. It made me be a little bit more critical. And in various movies, they made the ghosts and stuff real, which is, okay, whatever. That's kind of weird, but whatever. Maybe one day it is the one time they go and they think it's going to be a dude in
and it's a real
mask.
ghost.
It's not. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And, but this one was just completely like, for this, like, I understand like an animated shitty movie that's going to come out on Cartoon Network, but you're spending major dough. You're getting fucking CG. You're doing the whole
They
nine.
shit on all over Scoob's history, huh?
And it just, like, they fucked up those other movies with the live action. They were terrible too.
But you had Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze and Linda Cardellini.
Like, I mean, I thought that this was the one. For some reason, I went into this thinking this was going to be the one.
That's what I
was
thought,
going
and
to get it right.
Man, I'm surprised that it wasn't.
There is a great series that Mystery Incorporated.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
fucking awesome, and you should check that out.
All right. Well, I watched the big budget comic book adaptation, The Old Guard, with Charlize Theron, Chiwetel Ejiofor, based on a book by Greg Rucka.
Why don't you save that?
Yeah.
Is that what we're...
Do we want to review this for later?
I saw it, yeah.
I was thinking maybe review it next. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
I'm going to save
we can discuss offline.
I'm going to say my thoughts because we have something planned for next week. So we'll just review it the following week.
We'll discuss offline.
Okay. So
save your thoughts.
I will save my thoughts.
I have not watched anything, but I have listened to... I did listen to a podcast from 2018 with Joe Rogan and Matthew Walker, who's a sleep neuroscientist.
Yeah.
That one was crazy intriguing. Make sure you guys get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Did they talk about like sleep paralysis and stuff?
No, it was talking about how sleep like the lack of sleep just affects
everything.
It affects everything, and the rates it's tied to cancer and Alzheimer's and
all
sorts of crazy shit. Yeah, sleep.
I need
at least 7 hours, if not at least, try to get 8 actually. But
I never sleep 7 hours.
Yeah, it's bad for you.
Oh, really?
Really bad.
What,
yeah.
but what if,
really bad, and it's so bad that you don't even you're like walking around basically
like a zombie,
drunk, and you don't know it.
Do you have to do it all at once?
Yeah.
Can you break up the 7 hours? Does that make a difference?
You can hack the body, according to this guy, and do some naps, but the best is all at once.
Long sleep. I mean,
have you guys been watching that new Zac Efron thing on
I watched
Netflix?
one of those episodes, and first of all, he would make a great Wolverine. Like he's fucking jacked in this show, and he has a beard, and he's kind of fun to hang out with, and he's smarter than I thought he was.
Might be too pretty.
I think he's dumb, but like, I think he's a complete idiot. But like, his heart's in the right place, and he's doing this earnestly, I believe. But I watched an episode where they went to Sardinia.
Yeah.
Because there's something called the Blue Zones, and there's Blue Zones in Okinawa, Sardinia, somewhere in California, and Costa where they have the highest concentration of centenarians, which are people who live to be over 100.
Oh.
And they're trying to find the common thread of why. Is it just genetic?
Sleep. It's sleep.
And maybe it's sleep.
Diet.
Is it diet and all these I find it very fascinating. So check out that episode.
It's sleep. No, sleep affects your appetite, your weight, your exercising, your burning calories.
The sleep is the best way to recover from anything.
I'm getting sleepy right now. We should probably end the show. Nice. Let's do it.
Make sure you get same time.
I thought that you could sleep too much, though.
No.
So
according to this doctor, you can't sleep too much.
we need to make an ASMR podcast for our listeners so it'll be us going, ASMR. Have you heard those where like girls talk in hushed tones and people listen to it to fall asleep?
No,
or they'll
I don't.
bite food or chew or
I've heard about these ASMR things and they're very weirdly.
They're very weird.
Creeped out yet intrigued.
It's just like relax your mind.
Yeah, I'm not down with that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Show me your boobs.
Show me your boobs.
I'll fall asleep by my
That's all it needs. Just cradle me in your boobs. All right, listeners, we're going to end it here. Ruggs, where can the listener find you online?
You can find me online on Twitter at ReallyRugBoy. Come by, say hi.
Visit the show notes at jockandnerd.com/337 for links to everything we talked about, how to subscribe to the show. It's free. You never miss a show. And the most important thing, listener, tell a person about the show. Get someone to listen. They will, if you think you have a friend who will enjoy it, we would appreciate spreading word of mouth on the Jock and Nerd podcast so we take over the world one day and we'll eventually become Rotten Tomatoes reviewers if you give us more Apple Podcast ratings. We'll get there. It's fine. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's a nerd.
Keep you next time.
That's a big fuck up right there.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, that's really good.
Get the fuck out of here.